Hey everyone, I'm Goat the GM, and thanks again for joining the Ret-Con-Artists. In the pilot episode, the Tricksy Trio was left with a pile of questions about what the maintenance department is, and what exactly they do in this world. This week's episode, which is episode 1 of our first story arc, answers those questions and more, as the Ret-Con-Artists get ready to embark on their first mission, hoping to gain the trust of this strange organization. Before we get into it, I want to remind you that you can rewatch every single episode on the Ret-Con-Artists YouTube channel. Or, if you're always on the go, you can listen to every episode in podcast form on both CastBox and Spotify, all by searching Ret-Con-Artists. Thanks again for being here with us, and we hope you enjoy the first episode of Ret-Con-Artists, Gold, Gods, and Goblins. Okay, hello everybody, I'm Goat the GM. Welcome to episode 1 of the first story arc of the Ret-Con-Artists. We want to thank everybody for being here. Everyone say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
We also have Max Anthem here. Say hi.
Hello.
We also have Josh here, also known as Ikosa Hex. Say hi.
Hello.
No one said
right.
hi, so
Damn it.
rough start.
We would like to introduce the party really quick again. I've got Alex playing Melendrach-Tim. I've got Ruthie playing Björn Saksisson, and I've got Paul playing Tarvok Ironflask on my left side. Oh, look, that works. All right, it's mirror image. There we go. And we also have our wonderful ambassadors here that have already said hello as well. Does everybody remember what happened in our first encounter with the unlucky trio?
I was pretty lucky.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky.
I got squashed, man.
Yep.
I was Ash,
I
Basically.
survived.
and not the cool one.
So to elaborate on that, basically what happened with the party is they all met for the first time. They all had the same pamphlet, which brought them together to the same location on the same day. It was in a strange building that they first sat down and were basically gassed so that they passed out and were taken to some unknown location where they ended up having to fight a bunch of random creatures made out of the same gas. They found a strange symbol. They ended up meeting a couple of strange characters named Lush and Ileana, and they all got into a bunch of fights with giant spiders, elves, and a massive skeletal minotaur, which ended up basically wrecking most of their shit until they were able to take it down, luckily. After that, they realized that they were actually inside some sort of a strange magical simulation, which was a way of testing their metal, basically. And it was a way of integrating them into the place called the maintenance department, which we have yet to find out exactly what they do. They met the leader of the maintenance department, Gloriero, and they also met his right-hand man named Bevington, who we don't know his first name yet, but we might find that out as well. So we'll get right back into it. Last we left, they kind of were told that they hadn't quite proven themselves well enough in order to join the maintenance department, and that in order to do so, they had to be sent on another mission, and they were shown to their quarters, and it was nighttime. So let's get right into it, you guys. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Sure, why
Got
not?
your dice all warmed up and microwaved?
Well, as warm as my
phone
hands
has
can
been
make
microwaved.
things.
I forgot the loaded ones in my car.
Uh-oh.
Damn camera. Dice. Anyway.
It's okay. You're not cheating
I'm
tonight
good.
then. All right.
Permanent ones.
So we'll open it up one by one here. The last you guys recall, you still had some of the purple mist, I would say, messing with your minds a little bit. You were a little bit dazed after your encounter. You don't recall a whole lot about Mr. Glory Arrow himself, other than he was a very tall man. He had a big scar across his forehead, and he kind of talked like John Wayne. Other than that, you guys were so tired after your encounter that Bevington led you to your quarters. He left you with a nice tray of food from the supposed cafeteria that might exist in this area. And he bid you all good night. So I want to know, when you were taken to your simple quarters, which is basically just a small 10 by 10 bedroom, essentially. You have your own bathroom, you have your own, any amenity you need other than like a kitchen. What did you guys do with your night? I'll start with Alex. Sorry, I'll start with Tim. Tim, what did you do with your night when you came back to your quarters?
Well, when Tim got back to his room, he tried to recover just from the fact that he was dead. Kind of mellow out, ease back into the swing of things, and take a deep breath, because he could breathe.
Yes, that is always a plus. So when Tim kind of went to the bathroom to maybe scrub his face and look in the mirror, what did he see? What does Tim look like?
Tim is... He is about 5 foot 10 inches tall, fair-skinned. He's got side-parted black hair with just the shittiest color brown eyes you can see. He's very slim built, as he melted himself in one hit. And he is a half-elf, but he's got this like permanent smirk on one side of his face.
And that's not from the firebolt, is it?
No, that's always been there.
Okay.
Could be from them. I mean, permanent grin.
All right. Good stuff. What kind of dresser is Tim?
Very, very artisan-y. He likes to dress fancy.
Okay.
Which is why he's taken to the maintenance department so well.
And Bevington.
Because they dress nice. They're little, but they dress nice.
Good stuff. All right. Good stuff. So he's basically a half-elf hipster, is that what you would say? Ish? Fantasy hipster?
Sure.
Fantasy
All right.
hipster.
I like it. Cool.
Terrible.
All right. Bjorn, what did you do with your night when you went back to your quarters in the maintenance department?
So, my hulking man of man.
Mm-hmm.
He goes and he washes his face, because he always has, because he uses this blue war paint stuff to write, like, just war paint stuff, okay? And he puts down his hair, because he keeps it in like braids and stuff to keep it out of his face. So he lets down his hair. Hair goes out to right here.
Okay.
He's a long-haired blonde boy. And before he goes to bed, he makes sure to do his prayers to Thor and lights incense right in front of the door.
Okay. Right on. And what kind of garb do you typically see Bjorn in?
If he's not in his armor, he's going to be wearing just a white shirt with brown pants.
Okay, so just very simple tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
He's a very simple man. He also wears an amulet that's on his chest that has Thor's symbol on it.
Nice. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't remember. Did you say if he had any facial hair or not? I mean, you can just pick now if you want. No? Clean shaven. No. All right. Cool.
It makes it harder to put stuff on your face if you have hair on your face.
That's a very good point. Okay. Cool.
I don't know. Kratos seems to do it all right.
Yeah, he do.
That's true.
Speaking of blue war paint, Tim, do you notice any of that when you go back to your room last night? Maybe on your hands?
Sure.
You don't recall, do you? Am I the only one that recalls that? We're gonna.
Somebody saved me from dying.
Yeah.
He doesn't know who saved him or put the stuff on
Oh,
him.
that's a good point. Now let's
Because
see how
he
that
was
unfolds.
unconscious.
He just
I
ain't
like it.
dead. That's all he knows.
Yeah, that's all he really cares about. I like it.
Well,
okay.
for some reason, I looked back to my hand and there was a flash of light.
All right. Next up, Tarvok. Hey, Cody, what's up, man? Sorry, Tarvok. What happened in your night? Did you have anything to drink? Did you have anything to eat? Did you just crash and go to sleep? What happened?
Well, now I went back to me simple lodgings, and I had just a pint of beer, and it was so relaxing. But I had to look into it and think deep and reflect, because I was dead for a brief moment in time, apparently. So I look over myself and I'm like, okay, that's all there. I don't think anything's missing. I'm still as short as I used to be. I don't think it stretched me out and made me taller. So, I'm your typical stocky dwarf build. I'm from the mountains. I'm all of 4'11". I've got very short copper hair. I've got a nice medium beard, because dwarves look silly without a beard. A couple of scars. I mean, I'm young for a dwarf. I mean, I'm all of 45, but I've spent a lot of time in the woods, and things bite, things scratch, and then you scratch back with your bowless archery. But it's been a good time. As to how I feel I dress, I always dress for the job, for the work. So I'm very rarely out of any form of leather armor, just rugged pieces. Sometimes I have the money to get a decent set, but every now and then I just cobble things together. I'm quite good with my hands. I am a guild artisan, after all.
Very good.
Well, that's it. Aside from that, I had some delicious hops stuck in my beard, because I was dead, so when I was drinking, it just kind of went everywhere.
Good.
Such a waste.
Speaking of guild artisan, did you happen to do anything with the remains of your bow last night?
Well, I kept it with me. I mean, there's not much else I could do with it. I picked it up and went. It's going to take some time. I need materials to fix it.
Good. Okay.
And I'm sure someone here at the maintenance department will, be able to help me, seeing that they're the maintenance department.
Fair enough. All right. Good stuff. I appreciate that. Now we actually have a little more insight as to what our heroes actually look like. Our heroes all eventually went to bed, each at their own time. And you all wake up the next morning to a very, very peeling, screeching. It's not super loud, but it's very screechy and peely, coming over some unseen intercom. It seems to be the alarm to wake everybody up in the maintenance department, and it does the trick. So you all are fairly jolted out of bed, and you hear Bevington actually outside the hallway saying, "Good morning, everyone!" And he just walks up and down the hallway, and all you hear is him repeating, "Good morning, everyone!" over and over and over. And he's just rapping on doors as he goes by with his knuckles, his little gnomish knuckles. So,
Cool. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna try to smack whatever's closest to me. Whether it be the wall or a dresser or whatever.
I'm just going to roll over.
Tim will just get out of bed and go into the hall.
Okay. So Bjorn ends up knocking his massive weapon onto the ground. Tarvok, you just kind of roll over. And Tim, you are, I'm assuming, already dressed.
Haven't undressed.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you just crashed for the night. And you crack open your simple wooden door from your room, and you look out into the hallway, and you note it's the same kind of hallway that you first saw when you walked into the maintenance department from that strange simulation that you guys were in. It's just simple cut stone, and there's sconces everywhere with brightly lit torches, and all of the sconces have all of the maintenance department's signature triangle symbol with the three tools hanging off of them and the eye in the center. And you step out of your room and you just see Bevington's coattails turning the corner off to the right. It's a long hallway, and it looks like a simple dorm cut into a stone wall.
Fair enough.
All right. The other two?
I'm gonna get up and I'm going to put on my war paint and my armor, and I'm gonna do it in his slow, ritualistic style that Björn seems to like to do.
Okay.
Right before I go outside, I light my incense in front of the door and say a prayer to Thor, asking him to bless this day, and walk outside with my hammer ready to smack someone if someone seems to be outside.
Okay. Your ritual, as always, makes you feel quite confident in your day. You feel very refreshed and ready to go. And as you step outside, you look off to your left and you see Tim standing there.
How's the face?
Much better. Good morning.
Good morning. Where's the dwarf?
Now that is the question.
Segue.
Y'all are too loud! Trying to sleep!
You
Can
hear
I
from...
go over to his door?
Yes,
and
you
open
can.
it?
It's the door that's actually immediately on your right.
Sweet. I'm gonna go inside.
Okay. You open up the door. None of these doors actually have any locks that you can see on them. And you see this 4'11" copper-haired dwarf just curled up, cozied in his blankets on the bed.
I'm gonna flip the bed.
All right.
All right,
roll me a
Bjorn.
quick strength check, please. Give me a 12 or higher.
19
Yep,
plus
you-
whatever my strength is.
Can I roll a dex
Throws the
save?
bed into the fucking ceiling.
Yeah, you do. You do basically like flip the bed like completely upside down. Yeah, Tarvok, roll a dex save to try and
Nat
land
20,
gracefully.
bitch. What? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Sorry.
That's fine.
It's okay.
So you, as your bed is flipping, you kind of sense that this was coming, because your 45 years of living with your parents in their traveling caravan.
That's right. Dwarves live with their parents a long time.
In their basement.
Don't have a basement.
In the
It's a tavern.
basement of the traveling caravan wagon.
That's
You are
like
very
a
used
wagon.
to your own father and mother. Your mother was actually better at it, flipping your bed. So you saw this coming. You flip out of your bed and you spring to your feet. And what do you say in retaliation?
Well, good morning. I did ask if you could keep it down a little bit, but I guess that's out of the question. Could you hand me me pants?
Oh, well, there's that.
Bjorn looks down at him and says, I'm really glad that you're actually dexterous. Too bad it didn't help you yesterday. And
Well, that's all.
I'm gonna put the bed down
Okay.
and I'm gonna walk out. He
Okay.
can get his own pants.
But it's cold out. I mean, just
Excuses,
Fine.
excuses.
listen. I'll have you know that dwarves are good at stone masonry. I'm gonna
Good.
use my pants. Okay, I'm good. I'll be right back.
All right, so you all successfully have made it out of the bed puzzle. As you all meet out in the hallway again, you notice Bevington's coming around again, and he's rapping on the doors, and he says, "Wake up, you sleepy shits!" And he sees you all standing in the hallway, and he goes, "Ah, good morning. I see you all look bright-eyed and not so bushy-tailed. Would you like some breakfast?"
I would love some breakfast. I don't know
right.
if you could tell, but dwarves like to eat.
Good stuff. So Bevington beckons for you all to follow him. And that's, I'm going to say, you guys come out of your rooms and you look to your left, and that's where you're going. You follow him down, and he turns the corner around to the right side. And you follow him down about 3 more dorm rooms that you can tell, and then the hallway meets up in a T intersection. All you can see off to the left side is more dorms, and then off to the right where he turns to, you can see that first room where you actually met the commander-in-chief, Glory Arrow. It looks like a nice common room with a big round table in the middle of it and armchairs everywhere. There's some random bookcases here and there with various different tomes. It looks like just a general common room for people to just kind of hang out and wait. There's nobody really in there. And it seems to be quite early. It's hard to tell because you don't even know, there's no windows in this place. But you can tell that it's still quite early. You walk through the common room, you go straight across the center of it, down some steps, it kind of dips down into like a den sort of thing. There's red carpeting everywhere. It's very warm feeling. There's a massive fireplace on either side of the room. And then you go through the other set of doors directly across the room from you, and you enter another hallway. And as you enter this next hallway, you notice it opens up into a very, very large mess hall. There's tables everywhere. There's a couple of people sitting here or there. They're all dressed pretty average, your usual traveler's clothes, and they're all just eating a simple breakfast. Everyone's got kind of a different mix of breakfast foods on their plate. And as you look further past the various tables, there's about 20 tables that would house about, we'll say, 4 or 5 people each table, or seat, I should say, not house. And at the far end of the room from where you entered, there is a large buffet just filled with breakfast foods everywhere.
I'm gonna go to the food.
Sure.
I'm going to follow you.
Ditto.
All right.
Oh, they're going to have bacon and sausage and bacon and
So
sausage.
You all line up, you grab there's these wooden trays that you grab, and there is bacon and sausage and bacon.
But is there bacon and sausage?
Yes.
I think there is. You should open your eyes, Tim.
And
Him talking.
you notice there's tea, there's coffee, there's all sorts of stuff all across the place. And Bevington grabs his own wooden tray, and you see him kind of like reaching up over, because he knows where he's done this 1,000 times. He reaches up without even looking, and he kind of grabs a couple of sausages, throws them on his tray, grabs a couple of grapes here and there, throws them on his tray. He's small, he doesn't eat too much. And he goes and he finds a table and he says, "Well, come and sit with me whenever you're ready, and we'll discuss a few things." So,
I'm gonna grab 2 trays.
okay.
I'm going to get a portion of everything,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna put it back, go to the table, and I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna get all of every glass, every drink.
Yep.
I'm gonna get a glass for every drink. I'm gonna
Beautiful.
try everything.
Sounds
Find
good.
out what I like.
All right. Cool. Tim?
Tim's gonna go through and he's gonna grab all of the fruits that he can get his hands on. But there's one fruit that he's particularly looking for. He's looking for an apple, but the sturdiest apple that he could find, hopefully to make the loudest crunch that he could possibly get out of an apple.
Okay. You search through this beautiful looking tray of apples. It's all neatly arranged, missing one or two. And you find this particularly perfect one. It's mostly red, but it has that little small stripe of green in it, and it's firm. It is beautiful. And you pick that bad boy up, and you place it with the rest of your fruit. And Tarvok.
Tarvok's going to get himself some bacon and sausage and bacon. But he's also going to get some oranges, they're very tasty. See if they've got any nice fresh strawberries. They're good
Sure
too.
doesn't get scurvy.
And exactly. I mean, we could be on the water sometime. I don't know. And I mean, they have strawberries so big it's like a hand fruit. But
Wow.
I'm also short, so what do you do? And I grab some mead and I go sit down.
Beautiful. You grab some mead for the morning. All right. So, you all sit down. Bevington's through his first breakfast sausage already. And, well, okay. So, pardon me. So, here's the deal. I'm going to give you a tour after breakfast. We're gonna have a nice little walk throughout the facility. I'll show you everything I can. And then we're going to get you prepped to go again. Please, Tarvok, Mr. Ironflask, correct?
That's correct.
Should you be drinking at this hour?
It's nothing better to cure the sweet sting of death like a little bit of alcohol.
I think he'll be fine. He's a dwarf.
That's a fair point. So we'll have a tour. I'm going to finish my breakfast, and if you have any questions, I'm right here, and then we'll take a walk. So as you all eat your breakfast, do you have any questions for this small man sitting across from you?
I have a question for you. Why? Why us? I mean, it just seems very awkward to get potential people for your maintenance department by leaving scraps of paper lying about. But I mean, clearly it was meant for us. I mean, I found mine, and I found it where only I would know to find it. So
Yes.
just
It's quite interesting. We don't recruit very often. What we have in place is a single recruiter. He is also our envoy, if you will. Gloriaro, he started this group, if you may, many, many years ago. It's actually quite recently changed into what it is. The best way I could describe it is what used to be a mercenary group of sorts. So Gloriaro is, as you could probably tell, quite a strong-looking fellow. He has a lot of experience from previous military, and he decided to leave. I'm going to give you the Cole's Notes version. He left the military in good standing, and he decided he wanted to help people out mercenary style. He frowns upon any sort of thievery or pillaging or anything like that, like some mercenary groups. And he started the maintenance department because he heard somebody use the term fixer. He likes to fix problems for people. It's almost to a fault. He ignores his own issues to the point where he likes to fix things for others. Don't tell him I said that, mind you. He and his wife, I shouldn't be saying this, but his wife, bless her soul, and God rest her, they started this, I would say, approximately 10 years ago. They brought their young son with them, and where we are is actually in the middle of a mountain range. I'm not able to tell you yet, but we are actually underground. We're in the middle of a mountain range where they reappropriated an old mine, fancied it up a little bit, and many of his mercenaries stuck with him with the sense of glory in helping others. As they went on through battle after battle and situation after situation, something happened with Mr. Gloriaro, and this is, unfortunately, I've already spilled enough. I cannot continue to give highly classified information. But let's just say came across this mysterious mist that you have noticed. That's his own story, and he will share it in due time if he chooses. But this mist he discovered was actually quite useful in many different ways. You might actually be quite amazed. So I'm going to prepare you here for that. There's a lot it can do, and I'll let him explain it better later on. So he's been using it to further his goals with the maintenance department and continue to help others. So that's why we send out our recruiter, which actually, roundabout story way, turns to be son. His name is Mason Gloriaro. He is our envoy and our recruiter, and I don't know how he does it, but he's just always had a knack in sensing the good in people. Him and his father, it's strange. And they can always sense the good in people, and in his travels, in looking for contracts for the mercenaries, as we know as the maintenance department, Mason ends up coming across people and maybe noticing people, and he just sees something in them, and it's never been wrong. He hasn't failed yet, and that is why he has left you your pamphlets, because he knew that there would be a time where we could potentially all collect you.
Bit of a long-winded story, but I think I understand the gist of it. It's a little creepy, but I'll take it for what it is. It's not too bad. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you say that his son recruits good people?
He sees something in people, that's all I know.
Okay.
And if you have any other questions, please feel free. I'm going to eat the rest of my sausage before it goes cold. And he continues to pile back the meats and the grapes.
Bjorn's gonna get up and get another plate.
Okay. As you're getting another plate, Bevington kind of nudges the other two and goes, "Whole leg on that one. Am I right?" Too right.
A leg or 3.
Just kind of tall, really. I mean, it's just look at it. But I mean, it's just tall. It's fine. It's okay.
And
6'6" hulking mass needs
Yeah.
as much protein as possible to get the maximum amount of gains.
gains
I
with
think
a Z.
that's what he's hinted. No.
So as you all, as Bjorn comes back to the table, Bevington says, I understand that you might hear my name, Bevington, being thrown around a lot, and I apologize, but if you'd like, you can just call me Kilroy. I prefer it, honestly, and Bevington just seems a little formal to me. I know I'm the right-hand man of this organization. However, I do like friendship, so please, call me Kilroy as much as you can. Bevington also works, though.
Well, all right then, Kilroy. I suppose we can call you that. That seems fair. Just don't call me Mr. Ironflask. It's weird. Just Tarvok is fine.
He notices that Tim and Tarvok, you're both, I assume, pretty close to finishing your breakfast.
Oh yes,
Bjorn
I've
is
just been
still
going to town.
mowing through a big pile of food. What did you all like best about the breakfast?
Just like in real life, bacon is fantastic.
Tim?
He's just gonna crunch away at that apple.
Yeah, I assumed. And Bjorn, you tried everything, so what stood out?
He thinks that the bacon and sausage are pretty okay. He really likes the ham, and he really appreciates how many different types of eggs they used, because they had so many eggs.
Ostrich.
And he really just likes fruit, so he just got more fruit too.
Cool.
So he'll probably end up just getting a whole bunch of fruit and ham
Nice.
next time.
Good mix. So as you're shoving a big, massive forkful of ham into your mouth, Kilroy Bevington looks at all of you and says, "Can we away? I would like to get this tour done before I have to take on my other tasks for the day."
I'm ready to go. Tim and Bjorn, was it? I mean, we've never really actually formally introduced ourselves. Y'all ready to go?
Indeed.
I'm going to chug the milk and then say, okay.
All right. So with your
Very
milk,
soft spoken, this one.
with your milk mustache and bellies full of food, you all follow Kilroy as he just leaves his tray on the table, and you all follow suit because it appears there's actually people going around cleaning up after you. And
Tim's gonna snag one more apple before they leave.
okay, go ahead and do that. He takes you by the buffet table again, and you go further into the mess hall. And Kilroy begins by saying, "Well, you've already noticed the mess hall and the dining area. I hope it's to your satisfaction. If we go a little bit further here," and as you guys walk further in, you notice the room continues to change. And it goes between different gaming tables and just general fun things. You get to the back of the room. It's a massive room, about the size of a football field, actually. And in the very back, you notice there's a weight training area. There's a bunch of sparring equipment, stuff like that. There's a couple of archery lanes for people who want to practice. It seems like pretty much anything you want to do in here, besides like riding a horse, you could probably do. It's a huge, huge room, and it all just kind of blends from one area into the other. It's kind of cool. He takes you around this training area, and he says, "So, if you like, Tarvok, there's a stack of bows over here. Take your pick. You can have a short bow from here, and then when you choose to create your other one, you can just put this one back. It's not a bother."
Well, that's mighty kind of you, but my first bow is this nice long bow, you see, and it really helps get those arcs just right. Do you have anything a bit longer than a short bow?
Just actually the further, if you go to the next lane over, you'll find some there.
All right, well, I appreciate it. I really do. I'll borrow your longbow for the time being, and if you have a smithy around, maybe some woodworking equipment, I'd love to make modifications to my original and fix it back to just its pristine shape.
That sounds very specific, but yes, we actually do have a quartermaster section. I'll show you that in due time. Unfortunately, our quartermaster is currently away on a supply trip, so it is shut down for the time being. But I'll show you.
This'll do for now. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it.
You're
Do you
very
have an
welcome.
enchanter?
It depends on how you define enchanter. We have a test area for the mist, and sometimes we can get effects that are akin to enchantments. But no, unfortunately, we do not yet have anybody with those abilities.
While we're on the question of things that people need done, perhaps an arcane blacksmith.
That is a wonderful idea. I would love to see that in the near future. If you come across anybody who might be interested, please send them our way.
Never mind.
I'm sorry.
So, not only are we being recruited, you're asking us to be recruiters as well.
Do they have to fight a giant skeleton as well?
It depends on the role they're applying for.
Because, I mean, if they do, I'm not going to tell them. I'm just going to send them on. See what happens.
Not
That's
gonna even
typically
talk to
the idea. You know what? Let's just show you around. I'll show you where the quartermaster is right now. And he takes you out of the mess hall, back into that first hallway that crosses the common room. And as you cross back towards where the living quarters were, you see that the room itself is actually octagonal in shape. And on your right side, on two of the angled pieces of the room, are extra doors. So there's a door on each cross in the room, and then on the two on your right as you come back in, there are other doors that look the same as the other ones. As you cross by, Bevington just says, on your immediate right, on the angled wall here, is our Commander-in-Chief's office, and my office is actually attached to his hallway as well. So if you ever have any questions there, please come knock on my door. I will let you know if he's available. As we continue across, I will show you this next door on the angled section, and he kind of opens it up and walks you guys through into another hallway, not unlike the other ones. On your immediate left, you see another set of doors. He says, right here is where our quartermaster will be. If you need anything in the future, please feel free to just come by, knock on the door. He'll call you in, and depending on what he has available, you can gear back up. You come back away from the quartermaster's door, and you continue a little bit further down into the hallway, and he takes you into this strange looking room. It's actually round, and it kind of dips down. It's almost a sphere in shape, and in the very center of the room, there's two pedestals. One of them is a circle, and it's about, we're going to say about 6 feet in diameter. And then the other one is another smaller circle, and it's about 2.5 feet in diameter. And seated on the smaller circle is a very, very elderly, small man. Sorry, I have his stuff written here, and it's just too good. And his name is Henry, as you find out. As you walk in, Kilroy says, "Henry, we have some visitors." And you notice that this very, very small man, he's human. He's got a very long beard. He's clean shaven on his head, no other hair except for his beard and his eyebrows. And he's sitting there meditating very, very carefully. And he snaps out of it very slowly. And he looks over at you guys, and he just gives you a curt nod and says, "Greetings. I'm Henry Chubb. Welcome to the Travel Advisory Room."
Nice to meet you, Henry Chubb, was it?
Yes, quite.
I'm just going to call you Henry. I'm Tarvok. It's nice to meet you.
And Bevington cuts in. He says, "Henry here is our resident travel advisor. You will learn more about that in due time. Don't worry, it'll be in the next short while here. But we're going to move along. There's a door behind us here, and you look across this big spherical room, and you actually notice that there is another door on the other side, and it's not like any other door you've seen in this place yet. It is a massive, totally thick steel vault door. And Bevington points to it and he says, "Can you guess what that is?"
Oh, if I had to put my money on it.
Quite right. It is a money room, and basically our vault where we keep very important documents and items and, well, cash to keep our organization running. If we ever catch any of you in it unauthorized, you will be immediately memory wiped and destroyed. For good measure.
Nice.
Good to know. We'll go talk to Henry again, I think.
I'm glad we've got that out of the way. I apologize. That's just a little ominous joke I like to tell to people. But seriously, it wouldn't bode well if you went in there without authorization. As you walk back out of the room, you notice that Henry is now deep in meditation again, super stock still. You walk out into the hallway that you were just in with the quartermaster's office, and then back into the common room. And immediately to your right on one of the flat walls is the doors to the dormitories. And Bevington says, "As you already know, this is where all of our dorms are. We have 73 people who work here so far. It's a mix of logistics teams, experiment teams, and of course, fixers, if you will. And they all live in the same dorms down here. It is co-ed, so I don't want to know what happens in here after hours, but just be respectful of each other. That's all we ask. You all, I hope, are okay with your accommodations that you had last night?"
I slept as well as one could sleep, considering he had died previously.
It
Very
was
good.
acceptable.
This pleases me. And you, fancified one?
Tim's just going to take a crunch of the apple and stare at him.
And as you're crunching, he just kind of goes, and he turns, "Follow me." And he continues on to the, we'll call it the very bottom room of this octagon. And he opens up the doors, and you recognize it as the hallway with the purple door at the very end. You are all familiar with this hallway as well. At the very end is our simulation chamber. Again, hopefully you don't have to go in there, but you're welcome to talk to our team and use it if you would like to train sometime, or if you would like to maybe just have a chance to get away and sit on the cliffs or something like that. The simulation chamber actually is very unique in where it can simulate any kind of surroundings within a certain degree. As you look down the hallway, you notice that there are 4 doors. You didn't really count them before, but there are 4 doors on either side. In each door, you see a different team of people experimenting with different things using the mist. And as you see, Bevington goes, and I will answer probably the question that's on your brain is, yes, the mist is very unique. We are still studying it, as you can tell. And you're looking, there's windows to actually each one of these rooms. And you see one of the experimenters get thrown across a room, and he kind of hits the window and slides down, and you don't even know what creature they were trying to make in there. Bevington continues with, the mist, as far as we can tell, works through intent. You need to have perfect concentration in order to have it to bend to your will. For some reason, Gloriero has some of the best concentration of all of us. He is the one who actually created the simulation chamber itself. He spent the time, and he sat and he concentrated so hard that the mist in the simulation chamber actually sustains itself over time. So anything that we intend it to be is what it is, if that makes sense. It cannot operate within different times as far as we can tell, and we've not been able to change our dimension in any way. However, the mist can take on forms, and it can perform illusions around you. And it's also quite useful for travel, as Henry will advise you of later. Another joke, I'm sorry. So, any questions about that?
It's cryptic enough that I'm just going to let it. What happens, happens. I think I'm good. What about you two?
Would you say that this mist is easier to create creatures or items from?
Yes. It depends on the person's concentration and intent, to be honest. There are some of us in the experimental, and I say us because I actually sometimes moonlight in the experimentation department, R&D, if you will. There are some of us who are actually quite skilled in altering the mist, but then some, as our poor compatriot over here just found out, sometimes slip up with their concentration. It depends on the person, really. Which item.
So it's alive.
I'm not sure. I really don't know, to be honest. It's definitely not natural. But so far, it hasn't harmed us. But in an abundance of caution, we keep it under very tight lock and key, which is why Mr. Gloriero said that you are not allowed to have it until you've really, really proven yourself. And even then, not many people do. Speaking of the man himself, would you all like to go and find out what your mission is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be a wise decision.
All right. So Bevington leads you back into the common area, and he notices that directly across from the purple door hallway, hello, is another door that you guys didn't explore. It's actually between the office of Gloriero and between the travel advisory hallway and the quartermaster hallway there. And goes, right, I'm sorry, I always forget about her. I must introduce you to our wonderful, wonderful bookkeeper. Please, come to the lobby with me. And he takes you through the set of doors directly across from you, and you walk down exact same hallway, and you open up into this massive, massive room. And on the other side of the room, there's just a set of double doors. And in the very center of the room, with couches all around the edge walls, is a tiefling woman sitting there just kind of like half falling asleep at her desk. And next to her is Lush. And he's sitting there and he's kind of going, what does this do? What does that one do? And he's just kind of poking at the buttons that are at her little intercom area there. And she seems really fed up with him, this tiefling woman. She's all dark maroon skin. She has black horns and pure silver eyes. Her entire eye is pure silver. And she looks completely unimpressed with this guy. As you walk up, she kind of picks her head up and she goes, what? And Bevington says, oh, hello, Laughter. How are you? And Laughter looks at you guys and goes, who are they? And Bevington says, oh, it's more of the new potentials. Everybody, this is Laughter. She is our resident bookkeeper, secretary, and just general know-it-all of the entire organization. She helps run the show around here.
Oh, it's very nice to meet you.
Yeah. Am I done here, Bevington? Yes, Laughter. Thank you, if you wouldn't mind continuing to train Lush. And Bevington takes you away from there. And as he's walking down the hallway, he says, her name isn't very suiting, if you haven't noticed. He takes you back into the common area. And you walk into the left door, which is into Bevington and office area. And you walk down a small hallway, and it opens up into an office where there's war memorabilia all over the place. There's weapons on the walls. There's paintings of God knows who. On the right side of the room, there's actually a painting of a very, very beautiful human woman with long, long blonde hair, and her hands on the shoulders of a young boy who looks strikingly like Gloriero. And standing behind his desk, with his hands behind his back, expecting you, apparently, is Mr. Gloriero himself. You really take in his appearance this time. He's wearing his very long green almost military style coat. It's like a dress, almost like dress blues, but they're green. And he looks very formidable, this man. You can tell he's a human male of, I would say, about 50, mid-50, roughly. He has kind of a darker complexion, almost like an olive complexion, and his hair is totally gray. Very short cropped, totally gray, but you can tell that it was blonde at one point because there's still some wisps in there. He's got that massive scar all the way across his forehead and a very warm smile. And he stands at about 6'2", roughly 200 pounds. And as you walk in, he says, "Welcome back. I hope you're ready to take on a real adventure this time. What do you say?"
Sure.
Very well.
Can I duel you?
Maybe sometime in the sparring ring we can try that out, but not today. I'm quite busy, actually. Kind of looks you all over for a quick second. He says, "All right, well, I guess I'll just get right to it. We're going to send you to a place called Escona. And Escona is a small town nestled in the mountains, not too far from here, actually. All I can tell you from the contract is that they're having a bit of a goblin problem. They actually had a farm completely destroyed recently by a band of goblins. But see, here's the issue, is they actually live adjacent to a goblin village that they are under a sort of truce with because of a religion. And this religion is unknown to us yet. That's all we really know. I'm sorry I can't provide with too much information on this place, but it's a mining town in the middle of the mountains. These goblins are seemingly turning against the pact that they have, and you need to go and find out what's going on and take care of the problem. You sound up for it?
Cool.
I've got nothing else to do.
All right. So when you get there, I want you to meet with a man named Cromwell. He's the local priest, and he's actually the one that put in the contract. And he didn't give me too much detail. Again, I'm sorry. You're going to have to ask him what exactly happened and where you need to start. But yeah, Cromwell. He's going to be probably in the church. That's my guess. He's a priest. So I thank you guys for trying this out, and I wish you the best of luck. Bevington will show you how you can get to the location. Good luck.
All right, then.
So after that, Bevington leads you down the hallway out of the office, across the common room, and back into the travel advisory room. He turns around, he looks at you, and he says, "Is there anything you want to do or retrieve before we leave?"
Well, I've got all my gear, but if we're dealing with goblins, they've got their own tongue. So, is there any... Do you have a translator around that could come with us?
Well, you're looking at him.
Tim, you speak goblin.
Indeed.
That's an interesting trait. Well, all right, very well. I mean, I speak Hill Giant, so I suppose it's only fair. All right, well, let's never mind then, Kilroy. We're good. We don't need you.
Very well. Anyone else need anything before we go? All right. And he leads you back into the spherical travel advisory room where Henry is sitting there and just kind of, you think you hear snoring, but you're not 100% sure. And Kilroy walks up to him and says, "Henry, have we received the signal?" And Henry opens his eyes and he says, "Well, I received it about an hour ago, so I think we're all ready." And Kilroy says, "Very well." And he pulls out his bottle of purple something, and as he pours this purple bottle onto the top of the big column in the room, it spreads out. The mist just spreads out all around, and you see Henry close his eyes again, and he is immovable at this point. He is so focused that you're pretty sure you could slap him in the face and he wouldn't even notice. The mist starts to just kind of hold on the surface. It doesn't spill over the edges. It holds almost like perfect surface tension on a glass of water. And Kilroy says, "All right, up you go." And he kind of gestures to the pillar.
I'm gonna walk in it.
All right.
I assume that's what I need to do.
Yeah, it's only about 2 feet off the ground, so you step up with no
Wait.
problem. Yeah.
Wait. Where's the girl?
Ileana.
Mm-hmm.
Are you asking me, or who are you asking?
Bevington.
Bevington goes, yes, the feisty one. She is actually off on another assignment. We don't like to send very, very large groups up, but she is off on an assignment with 2 other potentials right now. Trust me, she's very safe.
Okay. He nods and then jumps in.
All right.
Well, I'll just say that I'm glad the Twiggy one's not with us.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we left him over. Laughter, was it? She's, I bet she'll feel better when he leaves.
Bevington says, let's just say Lush requested to have a different role in the department, so we're going to be working on him there. We'll see.
Very well. Well, I guess I'll follow the giant, I suppose.
And you all hop up onto the pillar, and Bevington just kind of quietly walks behind Henry, and he slowly places his hand on the small of Henry's back and just gently kind of touches him there. And that is the last thing you notice in this room before everything starts just swirling. You're just spinning in purple, and the purple continues to churn, and you feel like you're falling, but your feet are still on the ground. And all of a sudden you have your vision clear out, and the purple kind of mists away, and you're standing in front of what looks to be a gate in between 2 massive mountains on either side of you.
Well, that sucked.
This better not be another one of those little tricks of theirs, because I gotta tell you, I don't fancy the idea of dying again.
I think he'll be fine.
I hope so. Well, I got a bow again. That's always good.
Mm-hmm. So what you can see around you is that you're standing in the middle of a road. It looks to be well used, wide enough for 2 carts to pass on if possible. And there's a massive gate in front of you with about a 20-foot wall. On the right side of the 20-foot wall, there's a guard tower. You don't see anyone there yet, though. And that's pretty much it. On either side is a huge, huge mountain. And it seems like you're right smack dab where these 2 mountains meet.
All right.
Well, no, I guess we should find a village.
Seems like a good plan.
Well, let's yell at the guard tower and see if anybody's there, and they can point us to what was this again? Escona, was it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All right.
we need to find the church. Maybe a tavern while we're there too.
Okay. So, who's going to yell for the guard?
I think
Nose
it'd be
goes.
Aw.
the dwarf gets to do it.
You know, my voice doesn't carry very far. I'm really low to the ground.
Have another drink. It'll help.
It's still too early. 1 was enough. So if I were to check to see what kind of skill I would need in my head, what kind of skill would I need?
You would just need to yell.
Oh! Well,
I've been waiting for it this whole time.
I'm going to put down my magic pebble that I have and go, hey! Is anybody awake up in that there tower?
And you just see this helmeted man just look over, and he goes, "What the hell?" And he pulls his bow and he goes, "Who the fuck are you?"
I was just passers-by looking for a town of Escona.
"Well, you found it. What do you want?"
To speak with your priest.
"What do you want with him?"
We have business with him. Apparently, you're under siege from time to time, and we're here to kind of fix things for you.
And you hear from behind this other guy, you hear, "Oh, it's those ones. Yeah, let him in." And the guy goes, Oh, right. It's okay. Yeah, we're expecting you. Sorry. He puts his bow down and he kind of, you hear this little shuffling noise, and then all of a sudden the gate starts to open up with a chain clinking sound. Tick, 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 tick. And the gate opens up, and you see the road continues on in front of you a short ways. It kind of bends to the left, bends to the right, and then down about, I'd say 200 feet in front of you, down a slight decline, it opens up into a town, a very small town, but a town nonetheless. You can see various buildings on your left that look to be maybe of trade type buildings. On the right, you see a bunch of rows of small shacks and houses, and people just kind of bustling around. You see a lot of humans. You see the odd dwarf, the odd elf, just a few people here and there of different races, but it's mostly a human town. And this man kind of steps around from the gate. He says, "Right then, if you're looking for the chapel, it's basically straight down this road. If you continue all the way into the town center, you'll have your chapel, you'll have Carlisle Mining on your left, you'll have the tavern on your far side, on the kind of the angle left, and then you'll have the general store on the other side of the chapel, and I'm sorry, I'm a horrible tour guide, but just don't go breaking into any houses, please, because then I'd have to kill you or string you up or something, and I don't really like doing that. So, yeah."
Don't worry, it's weird for me to be in a town for very long, although I do love it. But there's a turn of phrase back where I come from, murder hobos, and I got to tell you, I'm not one of them.
Right. He's a strange one, isn't he?
I like to talk sometimes. I'm gonna go to town.
What's his name?
What is his name? Let me just see here. My name's Ralph Seabright.
Well,
Pleasure.
Mr. Seabright, thank you for the instructions. Have a great day.
You're very welcome, sir. I'm sorry, I mix that up sometimes. And Ralph just kind of climbs back up into his tower, and the other guy's just leaning back. He looks totally unimpressed with what's going on. He's just leaning back and smoking his pipe and sitting there, and he's the lazy one. All right.
Always one.
There's always one.
Well, I mean, we could take a detour through town, but I kind of feel we should just hit this church, look through this priest, and just get this over with.
I feel like getting the priest first and then getting supplies for whatever mission he has, I feel like is the best kind. So I agree with you.
I was going to say, that's what I said. I mean, I know I'm short, but I mean, my voice carries a little.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
I think you're funny, don't you, Mr. Tim?
Sometimes.
Yeah, right, I'll agree with you. Let's go.
All right. So you guys, you travel down the road about 200 feet. You make it to the middle of town, so it seems this entire town seems to be nestled right in the middle of a bunch of mountains. The only way in and out that you can tell is the road that you came in on. You didn't actually take the time to look behind you when you're up at the gate, but I mean, that's it. That's the only road into town. Everything else is just completely surrounded by mountain faces and rock walls. As you continued down into town, though, you did notice a couple of offshoot trails. The one on your left, as you came in, was way more worn than the one on the right, but they were actually both very visible. It didn't really strike you guys to go down there, but there's definitely other paths into this big valley, if you will. You make it to the middle of town, and as you're in the center, you look around, you see right in front of you is this church, and all it says on the front is chapel. It doesn't seem to have any kind of specific religion assigned to it. It's very simple. It's just this plain little white ramshackle church. On the left side of your left side of it, there is a very large and ornate wooden building carved, and you can tell it's a tavern. It just says Escona Tavern on the front of it. There's a bunch of lions and horses and just random creatures carved into the banisters all around the front deck area of this tavern. And it seems to be busy inside even now. It's early in the morning and it still seems to be bumping in there. It's actually 3 stories tall, and it's basically the crown jewel of the place. To the left of that, further still, is a big shop. It's made out of stone brick, and it has a massive sign on the front inlaid with gold trim that says Carlisle Mining. It looks to be 2 stories tall. It's quite wide, and it's got these massive metal doors on the front of it. But from what you can tell, you could just go inside. On the right side of the church is Escona General Store, and it is very general for a general store. It's plain. It looks just as plain as the chapel does, and that's all you can tell is it says General Store on the sign. And then on the immediate right of that is just rows of houses. There's about 3 different streets that kind of go down for about 5 or 6 houses each, and they're just a mix of small shacks to a couple of 2-story houses. It doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason to it, but it's a quaint little town, and from what you can tell, it's not a bad place to live, with the people walking around smiling and generally talking with each other. All right.
It's quaint enough, but we can do some sightseeing later if you 2 want.
Yeah, we could do that later. Seems like fun.
Right, we'll get drunk. Or at least have a few sociables. And be privy to other things in the town.
Seems like there's other day drinkers here, so...
I know, it's quite nice. But that's besides the point. Let's do work first. Business before pleasure.
So we're gonna go inside the tavern.
Okay.
Not the tavern.
Business
the
before
church.
pleasure.
We're going inside the church. Wait, we can't drink now.
I do enjoy the way that you give praise to your god with your daytime drinking and water paint. But let's appease him later.
All right. So you guys are going to walk into the chapel, but right now we're going to take a short 10-minute break. And it's kind of at that time. I think we've been at it for a little bit, and we're going to really get into the meat and potatoes of this adventure when we come back. So don't go away. We will be back in less than 10 minutes. Everybody get some water, grab some snacks, take a pee, do that stuff, and we'll be right back. Cheers. Hey everyone, I just want to remind you all that you can find the Ret-Con-Artists on Twitter at Ret-Con-Artists TV or with hashtag Ret-Con-Artists. We also want to thank the Survival Theory stream team. They are a wonderful team of streamers who like to game and just generally hang out on Twitch, so feel free to check them out. The link for the Discord will be right there in the description, so make sure to check that out. You can talk to us through the Discords, have fun. Maybe play some games together. Also, do you want an NPC named after you or somebody that you love? Make sure that you send us a tweet with the name that you choose using the hashtag Ret-Con-Artists. And give us a follow on GoatGM's Twitch page. We've got some ideas in the works for this holiday season, so make sure that you stay tuned to that Twitter. Just as a heads up to everybody, due to the holiday season, the Ret-Con-Artists won't be doing an episode on Tuesday, December 25th, because, that's Christmas, and we're all going to be hanging out with our families and drinking a lot and eating a lot. But if you still want a fix of D&D that week, make sure you swing by on December 27th, while myself and a couple of other Ret-Con artists and maybe some other guests hop in and do a one-shot in holiday spirit. That's about gonna do it for me. Let's just get on back into the episode, I suppose. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. We'll see you next week. All right. Welcome back. Thank you for hanging in there for the short break. Welcome back to the Ret-Con-Artists, episode 1 of Gold, Gods, and Goblins. I'm going to mix those up one of these times, but so far so good. Last we were in the game, and we were standing in front of the strange little ramshackle church in the middle of Escona. You all walk inside this church, and it's got very neat appointment inside. It's very plain maple pews along either side, some candles here and there. You can see books of various kinds. There's a big stained glass window at the back, and in the stained glass is a big image of just a treasure chest full of gold. And from the treasure chest full of gold, you can see beams of light coming out. And that it's not a real treasure chest. It is the stained glass, mind you. You see beams of light coming out, and it's a glorious picture in this massive window at the back. And standing up at the very far end of the chapel is a very simple looking man, another human man, and he's just kind of rifling through the books at the back of the room and just kind of trying to figure out which tome he wants to pick out. And he's wearing these very plain white robes. He's got a white sash around his neck as well, and he seems to be maybe in his mid-30s. He's got kind of ear-length bowl-cut hair. It's black, jet black hair, and that's basically all you can see from this angle.
Are you Cromwell?
And oh, yes, welcome. I am Cromwell. Sorry, you startled me, large one. Welcome to the chapel of Escona. How can I help you?
Well, Bjorn kind of bows a little bit because he respects every religion, and he asks, "What religion are you?"
It's a very broad question that you're asking here. We respect every single faith that is good and holy here. We're, of course, not of the evil faiths. However, we respect anybody's view as long as they don't harm our people here. Myself, recently, in the past, I would say 6 months, I've actually taken on the faith of the large one. If that makes any sense to you, it probably doesn't. It's a new faith in our region, and it's for good reason. Who might you be? I'm sorry.
I'm Bjorn. That's Tim. And that's Tarvok.
Ah, welcome.
And we're from the maintenance crew.
And as soon as you say that, his face kind of turns 2 shades whiter, and he just kind of goes, "Why didn't you start with that? Please come with me." And he goes off to the side of the room, off to your right, his left, into just a small door, which looks like a door to an office. And he just kind of says, "Come, quick, hurry." I take it you all go in there.
I do. I'm running as fast as
Obviously.
my little legs can carry.
Okay.
Casual stroll.
I'm like a giant, so it's fine. I probably get there in like 3 steps. It's fine.
All right. So you pass the various pews and you get into this small office door. He shuts it behind you guys very quickly and he locks the door. And you look around and there's just a single desk in this room. And there's a small chair next to it. There's a little grate in the ground off to the left of the door. And then there's just a bookshelf and a couple of oil lamps burning, lighting the room up. He's got the shades open, but he strides across this short little room, and it's very crammed in there with all of you in his office. And he pulls the shades shut and he closes the window, and he turns around and he says, "Okay, you're here for the goblins, correct?"
We're here to fix whatever problem you have, and we've been told you have a problem with goblins.
I was the one who requested the contract. But
It's weird for a man of cloth.
listen, this town, I put on a good face. The religion of the large one, I have bad feelings for it, and I think that it's what's bringing these goblins to our town. I don't know why. We are a gold mining town. I assume that maybe the goblins want gold because usually they are attacking the Carlisle mining people. However, we just had an entire family burned to the ground on a farm just outside of here. And I don't think it had to do with gold. I've had a bad feeling about this religion. There is a large god that lives in our mountain. And she is a wrathful yet kind god. I don't know how else to put this. I need you to kill her.
You want us to kill a god?
Yes.
So I don't know if you've noticed anything, but I mean, we are clearly up to the task. But I have a wooden bow and arrows. So, do you have anything else that might help us smite a god?
You are fixers, are you not? You're of the maintenance department, the famed maintenance department that we're not really supposed to speak of.
We are part of such an elaborate crew, yes. Illustrious crew?
So we have to kill her.
I think
Do you have any proof that she's the one causing everything?
I went
Because what if it's not her?
I went to offer our monthly penance recently. We bring gold to this god. She loves gold. I don't know why. But recently she's become more angry, and I can't say exactly the reason, but she told me, and it was in pure anger. She told me, Paul, your camera is completely shut off.
She's so wrathful that she just knocked him out.
But she said that if we don't provide at least tenfold the gold that we have in the past months, that she will kill us all. Now,
I don't know why she needs gold.
I don't know why. I assume some godly reason. I'm but a simple man. I've never seen anything like her before. But yes, she has threatened to kill everyone. I haven't told anybody this, but I have talked to Mr. Carlyle recently. And welcome back to my chapel office again, sir. I have talked to Mr. Carlyle, and I let him know the situation, and he said he would take care of it, but he's such a pompous, excuse my language, butthead, that I don't know if he's going to do it or not. He simply just said that he would tell some of his supervisors to whip the workers into shape and to produce more gold. I'm afraid of what might happen at the end of the month. And these goblin attacks, I don't know. The goblins that live in the hill, they revere the same god. They've only recently made a pact with us for the past 6 months because this god told us to work together. And so we have. And now they're burning villages down in the middle of the night.
Would we be able to go to the goblins without them attacking us to speak with them as well?
I have gone to speak with them recently. They're actually, if you take the road out of town and you go to your left, that would be to the east, actually. We're on the north side of town. If you take the road down and you go east off the smaller trail that you might see before the gate, that will lead you to their lair. I called it a lair. That sounds horrible. It will lead you to their small village in the side of the one mountain here. We have the twin Escona mountains here, as you have noticed. They're the largest ones that lead into town. They're nestled deep inside that mountain. I have gone to talk to them, and they are completely denying anything. They said it wasn't them, but we've found bits of goblin fingers in the fights that they've been attacking our people with, and witnesses have seen other goblins with face masks on in the middle of the night torching the farm.
Face masks?
Yes.
Is there anything specific to the face masks that these villagers remember, or is it just masks?
Just simply face covers. They do it in various ways. Whatever goblins might have on them, they cover their faces, but you can still clearly tell they're goblins. They're not very smart creatures, are they?
Tim, do goblins usually wear face masks when doing crimes?
No, I only speak the language. I don't know anything about their demeanor.
Okay. Well, we'll take care of it.
However, I do believe a good place to start is going to be with the owner of this mining company.
All right. What do you think, Tarvok?
It's not often Tim gives us a suggestion, so I'm going to take it as a good one.
Well, thank you for your time. Bjorn bows and then says, "We'll take care of it. Don't you worry."
Cromwell
Just don't
takes Bjorn's massive meaty hand in his, and he goes, thank you. And he seems to get a little bit emotional. He says, I don't want to lose another town. I used to live in another village before this, and raiders completely destroyed it, and I don't want to lose another one. Please help me. Thank you.
Bjorn's face hardens just a bit and says, maybe not so gangster, but
Cool. All right, lit AF fam. So you all bid adieu to Cromwell, and you step out into the chapel, and then down through the pews. And there's nobody in this chapel. It's morning, but clearly it's not the time of worship. And you open up the doors, and you're standing in the middle of the town square, if you will, again.
As much as I'd like to hit the tavern, I think Tim's plan is the best. I think we should just head to the mine, see if this foreman has anything for us.
All right.
How long's it been since we slept?
Oh, it's basically like an hour since you woke up.
Oh, never mind.
yeah. We'll celebrate at the end of the day when we finish our mission.
Okay. Cool beans. You guys walk into the center of the square, and you make your way off to your right now. That would be the west side. And you make your way to the very large building with the gold inset sign that says Carlisle Mining on it. As you're walking up to it, though, you hear footsteps kind of padding up quickly behind you, and just... and a young man, maybe 24, 25, human, blonde hair, and just shocking green eyes. He's dressed in very plain black clothing, and he's got a small purple filled glass bottle on his hip and a big travel sack on his back. His hair is about chin length, I would say, and it just kind of drapes parted down the middle, and he's completely out of breath, and he goes, oh my god, I'm sorry you guys, I fell asleep next to the drop zone. I'm so sorry. I finally caught up to you though. Hi, I'm Mason. Nice to meet you guys. You know who I am, I hope.
I've
No.
got a... Yes, we do.
Boss's son.
Yes, his son.
Yeah. I'm
right, him.
I'm Mason Gloriero. Nice to meet you. I'm really sorry. I fell asleep on the outside of that gate. I was supposed to greet you guys and brief you before you came in here, but I've been on my feet for so long. Oh man, it's good to finally meet you in person. I've been watching you all for some time, and I just wanted to say thank you for taking on this task, and thank you for being open-minded to the maintenance department. It means a hell of a lot to me and my father. So hi. Is there anything that I can help you guys with before you're on your way? I see you just came out of the church. Did you talk to Cromwell? And he kind of drops his voice a little bit.
We
Yeah.
did speak with Cromwell. Bjorn did. Bjorn did a lot of the work this time. It was actually quite nice to sit down and just kind of sit.
Very good. So, I mean, when I took on the contract, I didn't know that it was going to be that, if you know what I mean. But are you guys feeling up to it at least?
Do you know if it's actually a god or just someone who's very powerful?
The bigger question is, can we kill it?
I'll tell you guys this much. There's a good reason why we take on certain contracts. I don't know how much my father has told you yet, but I can't really be at liberty to speak too much of it. But there are specific contracts that we take, and there's very many more that we don't. But this one is special, I can tell you that much. I just can't tell you why. I'm sorry.
Secrecy seems to be part and package. I do have one question. That's a large knapsack you've got there. You got anything in there that might be able to wound a god in any way?
No, this is like my tent, my clothes, and just basic provisions. As you can tell, I travel a lot. I'm on my feet. I'm an envoy, as you can tell, or maybe as you've been told. I travel to where we're requested. Actually, requests come in either via pigeon or via other envoys from towns to our spot in those mountains, and I just travel out and I investigate. And along the way, I might come across people such as yourselves that might be able to help us. And I leave my little slips of paper that I so love to draw. I hope you enjoyed my slip of paper. Do you enjoy my drawings?
They're very good.
Thank
They're
you.
all right.
Thank you so much. Anyways, so no, there's nothing in my pack, unfortunately, that can kill gods. But is there anything else I can give you? Some food, maybe an extra pillow?
Are you going to be accompanying us on the mission, or staying around the town, or are you going to be traveling again?
I really wish I could. I'm not much of a fighter, which is kind of funny because all of my friends, being that I'm, the commander-in-chief's son, they all jokingly call me general. But I'm not too much of a fighter myself. I'm more of a caregiver and a friend. So, but otherwise, I would love to stick around. I do have another contract to go investigate, though. So.
Is there any way we can contact you in case something goes awry?
No,
or
not
do we
yet.
Just yell very loud?
Not yet. But you know what? Here. And he pulls the flask off of his hip, and he reaches backwards into his bag, and he kind of rifles around. He seems to know where everything is in his bag. And he pulls out this tiny little flask. It's almost like a little beaker, a test tube, if you will. And he kind of pops the cork out of his own flask, and he pours just a teeny tiny bit of purple mist into this little one. And he puts a cork back into that, a cork into his, puts it back on his hip, and he says, who wants it?
I'll take it. not the sorcerer. I'm taking it.
All right. So he just kind of he hands it over. He says, don't worry. This isn't enough to really do too much damage, if you will. But I'll be able to see you guys. I can't tell you how, but I'll be able to see what's going on. I'll be able to keep tabs on you. I promise I will. I promise. I'll make sure that everything's okay. And when the time comes, and if you need help, I'll make sure that I call the cavalry, okay?
All right.
Cryptic as always. Sure, why not?
I promise you will learn more. I do. There's so much that you need to learn. And so much I would love to tell you right now. But it would spoil everything for you guys. Trust me, it'll be wonderful when you find out. But I'm going to be on my way. I have to run, okay?
All right.
And he kind of nods and just sprints up the hill towards the gate, and he leaves town again.
Dude's got to be fit.
Yeah, you can tell that the dude's super wiry. I don't know why he says he's not a fighter, because it looks like he could hold his own if he had to.
Sprinting uphill.
Yeah, he's just giving her.
You humans really like your secrets an awful lot, eh? Or you half human? No, you're human. You're half human.
Humans think secrets are important, I guess. I don't think it's just humans, though. I think it's just this organization.
Probably.
Trying to be dramatic.
You're very monotone, but it's okay. I think I'm starting to read you just fine. Maybe. I haven't decided yet. Tim, it's probably better that you didn't get that vial. You strike me as someone who'd want to drink it.
No, I beg to differ. Can I have it?
Okay.
I put the vial into my knapsack and say, maybe when I trust you more, you have a look about you.
Trust me or not, I'll get my hands on it.
It looks like he had a stroke.
He grabs the vial and then just gonna put it in a hidden pocket inside of his shirt.
Even further away. All right, so you guys just completely caught off guard by this strange young man, this son of Gloriero. You collect your wits, and I believe you want to go inside this place, finally.
Yeah.
All right, so you step inside the front doors of Carlisle Mining, that is, and they're heavy metal doors, like I said. Heavy metal! Sorry. And as you walk inside, there's a very plainly appointed counter in front of you. On either side of you is just shelves and just hangers filled with mining clothing and gear and pickaxes and what have you. In the one corner, there's this really fancy looking silver plated mine cart that seems to be like a trophy or an homage to something. And at the counter is a young man, and he says, "Welcome to Carlisle. What can I do for you?"
We're looking to speak with the man in charge.
Ah, you'd like to speak to Killian Carlisle? Can
Yes.
That's the top dog.
Can I ask if you have an appointment?
Well, time to put my deception to some use.
Okay. What are you going to tell him?
Indeed, we do.
Okay.
We're part of the inspection team for the quarry.
We didn't have anything scheduled. Can you... What?
Sorry.
All right, go ahead and roll deception on that. And
Fucking. Is that a 20? That is a 20. Yeah, it should be, shouldn't it?
yeah, it's
Yes, it's
yeah.
a 20. It's a 20.
Yeah. 8 plus 7, 15.
15, and he's going to roll against that. He rolls a 15 as well, actually.
So again?
So
Or-
he kind of looks you up
DMs
and
wearing
down.
ties.
He looks you up and down, and he goes, "There's a strange noise jingling behind me, but I'm interested to hear more. Why are you here to inspect? And I don't recall any appointments for that."
That's the beauty of an inspection, and there doesn't need to be an appointment.
Oh, you're those guys.
Surprise.
Shit. So he dips into the back room for a second, directly behind him, and you hear some footsteps go down a hallway for a little bit, and about 5 minutes passes, and he comes back with a very portly looking gentleman. He's got a pencil thin mustache. He's slightly balding, and very dark hair. But yeah, he's kind of dark complexion, and looks like he's not really ever worked much in his life. And he goes, "What brings you all here? I'm Killian Carlisle, and I'm sorry I have lots of work to do."
I'm gonna let Tim take it from here. He's the one with the
No.
deception.
Good morning, Mr. Carlisle.
Good morning.
Now, we've received several complaints about some rather shady dealings going on in your quarries. Would you mind giving us a tour?
And his eyes they widen up a little bit with acknowledgement to what you were kind of hinting at. And he goes, "Tour, yes. Shady, yes, you're here for the inspection, right?"
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, please follow me. And he kind of opens up the little swing door behind the counter, and you guys file in behind him. And he leads you down a hallway into the back. And he pulls you into his office. There's so many offices this day for you guys. And he says, please, take a seat. And there's super plush chairs all over his office. You can see a massive bar on the one side of the room with various different types of hard liquor. Just small piles of gold and gold nuggets on his desk. And he takes a seat behind his desk, and he starts fiddling with a couple of gold nuggets. And he says, "Are you here about the goblins?"
I'm going to stand in front of the door with my arms crossed, looking as manly and intimidating as.
Okay.
Well, if that wasn't made clear by now, yes.
So here's the deal. Goblins have been attacking my mine recently. It's just up the road out of town and on the right-hand side as you're leaving. I'm pretty sure it's the filthy cretins that are in the one across the way. But I can't prove it. Every witness says that they have their faces covered. We know they're goblins, so I mean, it makes the most sense. But I have to abide by what everybody's saying, and that's we're in a truce. We have a pact, and this God unites us all, and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, it's really hurting production.
I think I'm going to try and deceive him again. Try and tell him that I know that there's more going on than he knows that I know.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna need you to craft that to make me understand it a little better. What do you say to Mr. Carlisle?
Thinking here. There's a way I want to go with this.
Okay.
Or maybe not necessarily. Like trying to get him to confess something that he might
Okay.
know.
Okay. So
That we don't know he knows.
okay.
But
No.
but we're trying to make
So
him think that we
you're trying to
know
We're
that.
trying to
extract
make
a little
him
extra
think
from him.
that we know more than he knows that we know.
Perfect. I love it. Do
Awesome.
it. All right.
And what would
go.
you say to try and extract said information from this guy?
Now then, there's no reason to beat around the bush. There's more. You're not telling me. I already know.
Okay.
Now, are you going to spill the beans, or am I going to have to make you?
All right, roll persuasion for me, please.
I was trying to lie, not persuade.
Same dip. Well, you're persuading him to tell you what he knows.
Mm-hmm.
19 plus 3.
19 plus 3. All right.
Oh, damn!
Paul,
Yeah.
before we continue with the results of that roll, Paul, would you mind just reconnecting your camera in the app, please? I think you just froze a little bit. That's all. Killian Carlisle, you can tell he's a very savvy man. He hasn't gotten into this position with no effort, that's for sure. But he does seem to be sweating after you say that. And he just goes, listen, I just need goblins taken care of. I don't know what you know.
Out with it. Get a clear conscience, you'll feel better.
Okay. We did kill a few goblins already. I'm sorry. I
Can we see
couldn't.
the bodies?
They've been disposed of.
Could you say they've been disposed of in a fire?
Yes. Yes, they have.
Or others perhaps harmed in this fire?
They were, but we did not start this fight. There was already something going on. We took the opportunity and we disposed of the bodies.
Oh, so you didn't start the fire.
No. The
Oh.
attack already happened.
Always burning.
Okay. I was gonna be like, oh my god.
No, I would never do that to my own people.
Very well. We appreciate your time and the information gathered. Is there any other information that could be of assistance to this investigation?
I need you to go and I need you to wipe out these goblins if you can. I don't know why they've been attacking, but it's making me nervous because I don't know if Cromwell's told you, but if we don't up our production, things are going to go poorly for us.
Have you ever seen where the gold is going? The person who's receiving the gold?
Yes, it goes to the god. I haven't seen it personally, but all I
Which
know is that
god?
my men help Mr. Cromwell carry it up, and then it goes to the god.
Can we get the men that help Cromwell take the gold?
They might be in the mines, if you would like to go and visit the mines and talk to them.
Okay. Add that to the list of things we need to do, gang.
All right. There he is. Tarvok's
Thank you for your
back.
time, sir.
I'm going to write it down on a napkin.
And
I'm
Carl,
really sorry about the technical difficulties again, guys.
that's all
Hey,
good.
at least it's not messing with the other cameras this time.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah, and we still had you here in voice, so that's all that matters, right?
Yes, I could hear you, so...
Good. So you thank Carlisle, and he just kind of, he seems abashed now. He seems a little bit ashamed of himself, and he just says, "Yes, please, don't mention any of this to anybody. I'm quite embarrassed that we ended up killing these goblins. I
Your
didn't
secret
want
is
it
safe
to
with
happen."
us, sir.
Some might say that it might go unmentioned.
I
But
appreciate your candor, sir. Now, if you will, I need to do some bookkeeping, please. So, he kind of ushers you back out towards the front, and you are standing in the front of the mining area, and he, without a word, just kind of turns around, goes back into that hallway and into his office.
Okay.
All
Well,
right. You guys have
what are
learned
the
quite a bit so far.
What are the steps do you think we need to take? I would like to go to the mine and talk to the gold people. I want to learn more about this god to see if it's really a god or just not a
Right.
powerful being.
also think we should check out that house that burned down.
House. Okay.
He said that they used the fire to cover the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Something else already started it.
Right. What about you, Tarvok? Can you think of anything we might need to do?
Not off the top of my head. It's a very weird puzzle. And I'm still a little drunk.
We'll also need to go to the village to talk to the goblins. We'll have to be extremely careful not to blame them, but maybe get more information on the god. And Tim might be able to persuade them to tell us what we need to know.
No, that was a total swing in the dark. I didn't think that was going to work.
Well, I'm glad someone took a swing at something, because, the old saying goes, it's better to take a swing at something than to sit in a bowl of bees.
How old is that saying?
Pretty old.
Would rather not sit in bees.
I'm writing that down. It's better to swing at something than sit in a bowl of bees.
Improv's not my strong suit? I don't know.
That's
Anyway.
wonderful. Thank you. Oh
we make-
my god.
Would the general store have any killing potions or anything else of the sort?
You could always go and check if you like. You guys are standing in the front of this mining store as well. Well, the mining group, I should call it. And the man behind the counter just kind of goes, I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about with bees and stuff, but are you going to buy anything?
What's your wares, sir?
Yeah, what are you selling?
We sell mining stuff and mining accessories.
Oh, God.
Any...
Thanks, Hank.
How'd you know my name?
Oh, shit.
It's canon. It is canon. His name is now Hank. Hank Mountain.
We sell mining picks and mining accessories.
Well, I don't need a
Mining
pick or
powder.
any mining accessories.
Are we gonna need lamps? Headlamps or anything? Do they have that sort of stuff? Like a head candle?
And he goes, "Well, sir, I got something right up your alley." And he kind of goes over to the one side of the room. And he grabs a few hard hats off the wall and he kind of looks at your faces. Does a couple of these, measures up your head sizes, and goes, "Yep, okay." And he walks up and he goes, "There's one, there's two, there's three. I understand you're helping out Mr. Carlisle. Is that correct?"
Correct. We'll
That's correct.
probably return these once we're done in the mines.
That's what I was going to ask. You go ahead and use them for now. There's a little dial in the back, if you will. It kind of feeds the oil from the top of the helmet into the front, into the little wick thingy, and it does the shine when you actually brighten it up. You got to use a little tinderbox to light it first, but once it's lit, it'll stay going until you snuff that shit out. But I want them back. They're expensive as hell.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Goes back to his desk, trips. Whoa!
We might be back.
Bobby.
God dang it, Bobby. You will be back?
I said, we'll be back to return these, and if we need anything else for the mines, okay?
All right, y'all have a
Unless
good day
something
now here.
happens to them while we're gone.
All right. I want to go to the general store to find healing salves.
All right, so you guys dip across the open area there, and you walk into Escona General, and there's actually an elven woman standing behind the counter, which really sticks out like a sore thumb in this town of mostly humans. But you know what?
That's what I'm saying. Does she have cancer?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hello. And as you walk in, you see this elven woman with short brown hair, pulled back into a very tight ponytail. And she says, "Welcome, everyone. My name is Ellison. Welcome to the store. Can I get you anything? You're new in town. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're new.
Hello, Miss Ellison.
Yes, hi. How
you
are
have-
you? Yeah.
Do you have any healing items?
Oh,
that I
healing.
might
Yeah,
use?
I mean, healing is it's important. I mean, if you twist an ankle or you bump your head or something like that, yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, we do. Yeah, yeah.
May I have the price?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. So I've got these small healing potions here, if you like. I have them specially brewed out of town and brought in especially. They're kind of expensive. They're about 10 gold pieces each. Do you want a healing potion? I mean, healing's really important if you ever like get a little nick on your finger, if you scrape your knee or something, you fall down, bonk your head.
Thank you. I think I have 10 gold pieces. No, my PDF stopped working. Oh no.
Bjorn
I will
Saksisson,
pass.
you
okay.
you have a total of 10 gold pieces actually.
I know. That's why I don't usually have a use for gold, but might go drinking, and that's important. I do have cure wounds. That was my thing. So
Okay.
I mean, I'm technically a walking healing potion.
As you're
That's
standing
the
there humming and
cleric.
hawing and looking through your coin purse, Ellison just goes, "So healing potions, like I said, I mean, this is my sales pitch. It's really important. You might, fall on your butt, break your tailbone, something like that. It really helps."
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Did you guys need anything?
I think I need to leave because everyone in this town is freaking me out. You're a very soft-spoken lass. It's very
Yes,
weird.
It's a trait that my mother had, and then her mother as well, and we just like to speak softly. There's no point in being
I'm
great.
leaving now.
I think I'm gonna say thank you. I will come and purchase this once as I'm done in the mines.
Oh yes, dear. Yes, you come on back anytime you're here. Okay. I mean, I'm mostly open all the time, and if I'm not, then you can throw a rock at my window above, and I'll probably come down and open up the store if there's anything special you
It's
need.
nice talking to you, lass. I gotta drain the tankard.
There you go. And as you guys are all walking out, you hear just going, "Drain the tankard." I wonder what that would actually mean. And her voice just kind of fades away as you walk out of the store as she's still talking to herself.
I'm sorry
and-
that I made you guys live through that. Let's.
It took everything in my power not to try to steal one of those.
I think I'm going to vomit.
I wanted to.
Where do you guys want to go
Oh.
first? We have the village, which would be the farthest of the way. We can go to the mines and talk to the gold bears to get information on the gods, or we can go to the burned house.
So, I think maybe it might be better off to go to the wreckage of the home first. If the bodies haven't been buried, we can have a look over it. I mean, I'm not very good with human or otherwise bodies. I mean, animals, sure, but we may notice something that they might have missed.
Well, he did say the fire was started prior to them dumping the goblins.
Exactly. So there might be something there. It could just, I mean, it could have been coincidental that they chose that home, but
Maybe
we
not.
don't want to go to this goblin village just full of hatred towards them, especially if they're being polite, even though they're dirty, dirty goblins.
I agree.
We're only dirty on the outside.
On the
Dirty on the
inside.
inside. Ha!
Yes,
Jinx!
they
You
do.
owes me a good drop
I'll
of beer
buy-
now.
I'll buy you a tankard when we celebrate.
Ah, look at this tall one. I likes this one. All right, let's go smell some burnt, decayed flesh.
My favorite.
I shouldn't.
Hey!
I shouldn't eat all that bacon.
All right. So you guys make your way throughout the rows of houses in the direction that you were advised was the farm that was burned down. We're going to retcon that a little bit. They did tell you where to find it. You go through the village houses themselves, and once you get to the end of the rows, it kind of veers off a little bit up towards the left side mountain. And this trail takes you up just through a field with a few sparse trees here and there. And thank you, Max. That's wonderful.
Ding!
And as you go up this trail, you kind of wind around a couple of clumps of trees, and it opens up a little bit, and you can see just in this tiny little dip, it takes you about 10 minutes to walk there. In this tiny little dip, you see this big farm of wheat, and it seems to be one of the main farms of this town. It's probably their staple area. There's a couple of farms on either side of it, but they're a ways away. And this farm that the trail leads almost directly to has a big pile of rubble, charred and still kind of smoldering. You can smell the faint hint of smoke in the air. You don't see it, but you can still smell like there was a fire here recently, maybe within the past couple days. And you just see piles of rubble and two buildings that are fenced off, and then rows of wheat all around. Within the piles of rubble, I want everyone to roll a perception check.
We got a 12.
Okay. Tim?
You got a 4. I'm probably just gonna take
18.
his stick and start smacking shit.
I got an 18.
18. All right. Bjorn and Tarvok, you kind of grab Tim by the shoulders and spin him in the right direction to face the farm. And you kind of point as you see a little bit of movement shifting in the rubble. This looked to have been previously a 2-story home, probably about 20 feet by 30 feet in dimensions. And then there's another smaller building next to it that appeared to used to be some sort of an oxen stable. From what you can tell, there's plows outside of it and lots of charred farming equipment. And you see just a tiny bit of movement shifting on the inside of this rubble of this place that's burnt down.
All right, so because we know that we're expecting something, I'm just gonna knock an arrow and be ready.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. What are you gonna do, Tim?
Where is... Tim's just gonna take his quarterstaff and start shifting some rubble. Looking
I'm
for
gonna
something.
go towards the movement.
Okay.
If it's anything bad, send it out, and I'll just pick it off as best I can.
Okay. So Bjorn, are you just going to casually walk up to it then, or?
Oh, there's a
Probably
thing.
with a lot of
Well,
caution.
the building is what I'm referring to as it. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go towards the. I would be super careful, but probably casual, because if it's not something that we want to hurt, I don't want to scare it.
Okay. All right. And Tim, you're staying back with Tarvok?
I mean, I was under the impression we were looking for stuff, so he was kind of sifting the rubble with his quarterstaff, trying to find something.
Oh,
that's
I'm
not
sorry. I
goblin
didn't
chunks.
hear that you had gone up there yet. Okay, so you both have gone up to this building then. Okay. And Tarvok, you're just kind of hanging back with an arrow at the ready, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And for some reason, there we go. All right. Tim, as you and Bjorn walk up to this building and you start like poking at the rubble, you notice this movement now that you're closer, and you hear just a slight scampering noise on the inside, and it suddenly stops. It's coming from a couple walls away from you. There seems to be maybe 4 or 5 rooms in this small house, and it's definitely in the room that is like 2 walls away from you. There's no roof remaining on this, by the way. Sorry. So you whistle, and you just see a nose, a long hooked green nose, kind of poke around the wall first, and then a massive bulbous eyeball with like a hazel iris just kind of peek around the
hand
corner.
up, like to make, and then like letting him know, no, don't fire just yet.
Goblin.
And you hear, and who here speaks Goblin?
Hello.
All right, so you
The
hear
guy who was
that,
near.
Tarvok, and both of you understand it as, "Who the fuck are you?"
Okay, I'm not gonna try and speak your goblin. A friend.
And this small goblin replies, "Yeah, I doubt that."
Would you mind explaining to me what you're doing here?
Would you mind explaining why your friend has a bow drawn?
Caution. I can have him put it down if it makes you more comfortable.
Okay. And he kind of looks at you for a second. Roll persuasion, actually, against this goblin.
Yeah, sure. They're not supposed to be smart anyway. Or are they?
Not really.
No, they're not smart.
No, not really. They can be. I mean, like they, you know.
That's a 10.
That's a 10. He doesn't seem to budge. He's just still peeking his one eye and nose around the corner. And he says, I don't think this is where you guys want to be right now. You need to just turn around and go back home.
I can't
Perhaps.
understand a word what's going on, so I can't say.
You speak Goblin,
Yes.
don't you?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you
I'm the
did.
only, I think I'm
Only
the only
Tim.
person here.
Okay.
Only Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I speak Celestial, so.
Right. Okay.
Perhaps this might change your mind. And Tim's gonna kind of flick a gold coin toward him.
And the goblin just kind of looks down, looks back up at Tim. You know what? Roll persuasion again. This time with advantage because goblins do love their gold.
That was the thought behind it. What does advantage do?
It gives you 2 rolls, and you take the higher number.
Take the higher one. Yep,
Yes.
yep. That one is a 13. Okay, 13's the one.
All right. And he's gonna roll against that. He comes out from around his little wall, and he stretches out towards the coin, and he's still looking at you. And he picks it up, and he looks at it. He kind of gives it a little bite, and he goes, "Why are you giving me gold?"
I'm just trying to help.
Do you even know what you're helping, though?
What I'm helping doesn't matter. I just want information.
I'm being really weirded out by this right now. And he kind of like nods back behind the wall, and 2 more heads poke around the wall. 2 more goblins. One of them with another hooked like nose and half of his ear missing, and a third one with his eye kind of basic. It looks like it's been sewn shut before. And they all just kind of poke their heads around the corner, and they're like, "We appreciate the gold. I don't know what you're trying to help, but you best get the hell out of here."
What are you doing here?
And they just look down at the ground for a quick second, and as you look where they're looking, you see a couple of small humanoid bodies, charred completely. All you can tell is the skeletons. Could be children, could be goblins, you're not sure. Next to it are a couple of larger humanoids, look to be possibly adult humans, possibly adult elves, you're not too sure as well. And then above
Friends of yours?
We're not sure. We just found them.
So, are you here looking for your friends that may have gone missing?
No, we just heard that there was a fire, and we saw the bodies.
But why would you be interested in these bodies? What benefit do they serve you?
And you hear the one goblin with the sewn eye say, "I don't like how many questions he asks." And the one that you've been talking to goes, I know, I don't know. And they just kind of like step back behind the wall a bit more, and you hear metal clearing sheath a little bit. And the one you've been talking to says, listen, I'm not talking anymore. Let us go, or just go yourself. We don't want any trouble.
Go on then. We need to have a look at this.
Okay. As you say that, they just kind of like slowly inch back behind the wall. You don't see them anymore, but you do hear the patter of
Well,
little
while they're slinking away, and is Tarvok within like hand signal sight?
I would say so, yeah.
I'm kind of gonna like signal him to keep an eye on them and see where they go,
Okay.
since he's back
All right.
and probably has better vision of the surrounding.
Okay, sounds good. Tarvok, roll insight so that you can get what he's trying to tell you.
Yeah, sure. 17.
17. You clearly comprehend what he means. Keep an eye on those things, and I think with a curt nod, you keep an eye on them as they kind of scamper away back towards the mountainside that you assume that they came from, past another farm. You see them for a little while, and eventually they just kind of blink away out of view over a little ridge, and they're gone.
Well then, that was interesting.
What'd they say?
This is all dealt with now.
You can come here. Come here.
Okay.
All right, so you all regroup at the rubble of the house, and you're standing over these 4 bodies. Are you gonna kind of discuss anything with them, Tim?
Yep. What they said they were doing is they just heard there was a fire and they were here investigating, and they stumbled across these bodies around the corner, which are
Leave them.
I
So
saw
they
the
came.
bodies. They say they were acting rather cautious.
Well, I mean, it's a goblin checking out some dead bodies. I mean, everyone who would be within eyesight of them would think they had something to do with it.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
gonna
it's
start
time
looking
to
for
check
stuff.
out those bodies.
Okay.
I don't think medicine would help, but I can do medicine. I can tell they really
I don't think
burned.
medicine would help in
They
this
seem to have died in
situation.
a fire.
But you guys can all roll investigation if you'd like to see if you can kind of make out what the hell happened here.
Hell yeah. Gross. Here we go.
16.
16. Okay. And Tim?
6.
And Tarvok?
Poking
10.
the bodies with a
10.
stick.
All right. So Bjorn, you look around at this rubble and you kind of go, you know what? Their heads look a little big to be human or elven. They could have been children, but honestly, your guess is that they probably are the goblins that you were discussing with Carlisle. The other 2 bodies are definitely either human or elven. You're assuming human because most of the families that live around here are. Nobody really mentioned who owned this farm to you yet. But yeah, and it looks like on the goblins themselves, there were just very large puncture marks in their rib cages. The ribs are broken as if a spear or a javelin or a sword was shoved through them. The humans themselves have their heads completely bashed in. And yeah, clearly they were burned after they were killed.
I wonder why no one buried the bodies. You'd think if they were followers of the religion that they would have been buried properly.
Doesn't seem like this is
Bjorn's
a proper
kind of
religion,
upset.
though.
Bjorn's just kind of upset that they weren't buried properly.
Perhaps a question for the priest.
Smirked. Still, though, I mean, if these are goblin bodies and they're all, I mean, their ribs are clearly damaged, there was obviously a fight. But then again, those 2 bodies are basically missing their heads.
We need to see if there's any trapdoors around or anything that might have gold. He said he was attacking the mine for gold.
Roll me an investigation check.
All of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I told everyone, so.
Yeah.
Ah!
Damn
What'd you
it.
get?
Net 20.
Beauty.
Yes!
So Tarvok, having being in a traveling caravan for most of your
Being
life.
so close to the ground.
Yeah.
Because he's short!
Being in a traveling caravan and so close to the ground for most of your life, you have frequented many people's houses while the midwife's husbands were away, and you know perfect places to hide for when the husbands come back. And you just kind of orient yourself in the front of the building, and I think in your best Tarvok voice, you just kind of go, I think if anything was hidden, it would be over there, and you just point blindly. and you kind of shuffle over there, and you shift the rubble aside, and sure as shit, underneath a rug is a trap door.
Yes! What up? Yeah, what up? I'm
Listen,
going down the trap door.
You might have had the idea, but it was my adultery to where we are today.
I'm going to pet his head and say, "Good job, dwarf."
I know I should be insulted, but it's kind of nice to be rewarded from time to time.
Mason Gloriero, only recruiting the finest.
All right. So who's going down? Who's going first?
I'm going.
All right.
I want to go down
think
there.
the person
I'm
with the
going to
highest
take the
social-
reward of knowing there was a trap door.
All right. So you pull up this
Somewhere.
trap door, and there's a small ladder that leads down, and you have to stoop when you get to the bottom of it. It's not a very big space, but you can see that there's some random crates and chests around. They're all covered in dust. There's some preserves down there too. There's cans of like peaches and random like pickles and whatnot, and you can see inside here that someone's gone through all this shit very, very quickly.
Light the mining helmets.
Yeah, you guys all
Very
light up your
true.
mining
Like a
helmets.
lampshade.
Yeah. Okay, we got to retcon that as well. Retcon number 3 of the stream is okay.
Where's
It is
the
not
counter?
oil lamps. They are oil lamps, but they have a little sparker that lights it with a little chain hanging from the front of it. There we go. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. So you guys all click on your helmets, and you look throughout this seeming it's just an ordinary looking cellar with all these chests and trunks and whatnot, and you see clothes and little mementos scattered everywhere, and it seems like someone might have been looking for something very, very specific, and they didn't, or they did find it.
Find the thing.
I guess with my low center of gravity, I'm going to start looking around for things.
It'd be kind of hard for me to.
I'll have you I'll have you roll another third investigation check, please.
Oh yeah.
Better.
Better.
3.
3. You see a jar of pickles, and you're just really attracted to this jar of pickles.
Just, how long has it been in that brine? It could be delicious.
I got 18.
18. All right.
I got a 15.
Yeah, so the other two of you, you're looking around for any other signs of struggle or any other signs of thievery or any other trapdoors or anything like that. You don't find anything, unfortunately. This just seems to be some sort of a robbery or a home invasion gone bad. And
Is there any gold or anything else? Like, not specifically just what we're trying to find the person being, but just like anything gold.
you come across a small silver locket, and that's about it. That's the only thing of real value. Everything else seems to have sentimental value down there. But just a small silver locket. There's nothing inside of it, just plain.
What about pictures or documents of who owned?
That's actually
home.
one of the questions I wrote down. Who's
Okay. You kind of go into the back corner of this cellar, and you find what appears to be a sort of a credenza type thing where there's parchment and scrolls all sticking out of it. And amongst investigating this, you come across two very plain names on a deed to the home, actually. It says Dennis and Mena on it, of the town of Escona, own the wheat farm, blah, blah, blah. And it basically is just a deed and a title to this place with Dennis and Mena's names on it. And signed at the bottom, it says notarized by the Carlisle Group. And that's really it. It's just a deed to the house. Everything else is just like documents from letters from loved ones across the way, stuff like that, invitations to parties, blah, 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 old posters, drawings, you know. So you find the deed to the home with the names of the people on it. All right.
I'm gonna pocket. Can I take that deed from him? Keep
Sure.
it?
Yeah, you can hold on to it. That's fine. I mean, no one's
Is
going to fight
there-
you for it, especially Dennis and Mena.
Is there any ledgers or anything that would indicate how much they make?
No, you don't find anything like that.
Dang, where are all of their tax return forms?
Kidding.
They file them annually like they're supposed to.
Hello, Revenue
guess so.
Agency. All
Something
right.
call the D&D IRS.
Yeah, we need a fantasy audit, please. All right. So, without finding anything else, you guys kind of go back up that ladder into the main area of the rubble, and everyone, just roll me a perception check, please.
Nine,
17 plus 5 equals math.
Dang.
23.
There you go.
No, 22.
Oh, damn, you're right.
Equals math.
I trusted you.
You
Well,
were
that was your
supposed to
first
be the
mistake.
chosen one.
Still over 20.
All right. So, Tim, what did you roll?
Never
Sorry.
said I was smart.
Yeah, 15.
15. All right. Tim and Bjorn. As you guys are crawling up first, and Tarvok is kind of struggling his way up the ladder, as short as he is, you hear like a clashing of steel and like an odd thumping noise and a coming from the direction where those goblins took off.
Great. Well, what do you want to do about it? I'm gonna go investigate it.
Yeah.
What do you guys?
I'll follow, but I'm not going to lead.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are we going? I was down in the cellar.
Tarvok, we heard a noise. If you could hang back with the bow and cover us while we go
Yeah,
investigate it, that'd be
I'll
great.
hang out about 15 feet. I suppose that's fine. You know, alone, by myself, without me actual bow. You know, it's fine. It's okay. Okay, it's fine. Let's go.
All right, so you walk about, let's say about 500 meters or so, and you get to the crest of this ridge that you saw those goblins kind of disappear over. And as you look towards the mountain on your left, you see a little clearing right before a small bush area at the edge of the mountain, at the foothills, if you will. And down in this clearing, you guys are about 100 feet away, we'll say. And you see these three goblins have rejoined with about 5 or 6 more goblins. And it's hard to tell because they're all just scrambling around. They're all swords drawn and bows drawn, and they're all just scrambling over this massive hulking shape. And this massive hulking shape all of a sudden goes and stands up straight, throwing all of the goblins off of him, and you see a massive 10-foot tall ogre throw these
shit.
goblins to the ground and just start swinging wildly.
So,
How
should
many
we
goblins
just...
are there, and how many of them are alive?
From what you can count, 8 or 9.
Can I yell out at them to work with us?
Can we ask? Yeah, ask them. Be like, do they need help with the ogre subduing it?
You can certainly try. You might have to get a little bit closer. There's quite a bit of ruckus going on over there.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna protect
that's fine.
Mr. Tim.
So before you two go running off, just let me fire an arrow at that ogre. We
No.
can we'll draw its attention, and then the
We
goblins
want
will
to
attack it.
ask if the ogre is part of their thing. We want to make sure we don't piss off the goblins. We don't want to make a big problem. We haven't gone to the goblin village yet.
I think they have a problem. I think it's called an ogre, but we'll do it your way,
It could be their pet.
I suppose.
And as Tim tells Tarvok that, and Tim is standing there trying to count how many goblins there are, the ogre takes his massive club and turns and swings and smushes the goblin with the sewn shut eye. Completely pulverizes him into the ground.
Nope, I know that one.
And you go, okay, well, there was 9, now there's 8.
Maybe be ready to fire quicker than I thought.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right.
How close
Do
would
the
it be for them to be
shoutings.
within earshot?
With the noise that's going on, I'm gonna say you should probably be about 60 feet.
All right. I'm fine with that distance.
Okay.
Yum yum goblin guacamole.
All right, so you close the gap about 40 more feet. Tarvok, are you staying where you are, or are you gonna go with Tim?
I'm gonna follow suit. I mean,
Okay.
you know, I want to stay within range, so.
Okay. And Bjorn, are you gonna? I take it you're gonna go with. I mean,
Oh,
I
of
don't see
course.
you hanging back.
If I'm not leading, I'm probably leading.
Okay. Fair enough.
You can only do 2 things. You can lead or you can lead. Make your choice.
Mhm. I'm
Choose
either
wisely.
going first or I'm going first.
In one of my hands there is a blue pill. In the other hand, a blue pill.
I took both of them.
Cyanide.
All right, so you guys close the gap to about 60 feet. Tarvok, are you gonna shoot before Tim says anything, or Tim, are you gonna yell out?
I'm gonna yell out.
All right, what do you say?
Is there any assistance that you may need?
And as you kind of nonchalantly, it sounds like you're almost mocking these goblins. Ask that. The one with the half of his ear missing, he just kind of rolls after being tossed by this ogre, and he looks up at you and he goes, "It's better than gold."
Fair enough.
And he charges back into the fray. Tarvok, would you like to loose your arrow?
I'm going to loose my arrow.
All right, roll to hit.
Loose that arrow.
17.
You
Yeah.
hit.
A lot of it.
What were you aiming at?
Go for the kneecap.
Too many small goblins.
Yeah.
I'm gonna aim just for the side of its throat, just on the side of the neck, I guess.
Okay. All right. Your arrow does hit. It sticks into the side of this very large gray ogre's. Sorry, I almost said goblin. It sticks into the side of this very large gray ogre's neck, and it kind of twitches in pain for a second. What's the damage on that one?
7.
Okay.
1d8 plus 3.
Premature damage.
Beauty.
The fight hasn't even started.
Yeah, no, it's.
Yeah,
I mean, the
gotta
ogre
get-
hadn't noticed or anything like that, but now it does.
Now it's pissed.
It's pissed at this twig sticking out of its neck. It turns and sees you guys. Roll for initiative, please.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll for the goblins as one mass group.
Yeah, that's probably for the better.
16.
19.
9.
Okay. Damn. All right. So it's gonna go Bjorn, Ogre, Tarvok, and you got 9, Tim.
Yeah.
I don't think much longer.
Yeah, and then Goblin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it's gonna go Tim. All right.
Stay out of club distance and don't fireball yourself in the face. You got this.
All right. So first up, this ogre turns, sees you guys, and just gives you a big groan, and you see the spit flying from its mouth, and its eyes are hilarious. They're like basically one straight up, one straight down. But for some reason,
Disadvantage on perception.
no, for some reason it can see just fine. It is an ogre. I mean, they do look weird. And it turns towards you with its bulging eyes and big bald head, and it's angry. What are you gonna do?
Well, time to attack it.
How are you gonna attack? With what?
I'm gonna use my hammer.
Ah, okay.
All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 14 plus whatever.
You hit.
Oh, cool. Neato. So I'm gonna hit him with my hammer.
Okay. What are you aiming for?
Kneecap.
Okay. You know what? Now that I think about it, I'm going to retcon again. I apologize. You were 60 feet away when this started. You are unable to attack with your hammer because you have a movement speed of 30. If you want, you can close the gap with 2 of your movements and use up your action as a movement and get right up next to it. Or you can choose a different attack from range, but I don't know what you can do. My apologies.
Can I keep my attack and just
Move half the
do it
distance.
next time? Or do I need
Yeah.
to do that again?
You won't need to move any closer if you dash, which means you double your movement towards it.
No, that's fine. I'm talking about my amazing roll.
I know, I apologize. That's why I feel really bad about that.
And I can't load a light crossbow quickly, right?
That would take an action.
I was just gonna run, but I'm gonna run since I can use a cantrip.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I'm gonna use a cantrip. I'm gonna just use my thaumaturgy, crying for the glory of Thor, and I'm gonna start running.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have like my glowy blue eyes be electrical and stuff,
Okay.
because I'm cool.
That sounds good. Okay. Are you gonna close the gap completely, or are you gonna? Where do you
No,
want to position
I ain't
yourself?
gonna be close to that hammer when it falls.
Okay. So how
I'll-
close
it's
are you
probably
gonna?
I'm just gonna move as far as I can, 30 feet.
Okay. So you're just gonna
And
use
then-
one movement, and then you're gonna do your battle cry.
Yeah.
Beauty. All right. Good enough for me. Next up, it is the ogre's turn. It is intrigued by your battle cry, and it's going to close the gap to you. It actually has a movement of 40, and it closes the gap no problem. And it's going to take a big old swing at you with its club.
All right, beat my 18, ogre.
It might.
Weird flex, but okay.
It weird flex, but okay. It actually rolls a 14. That is including the +6 that it gets to its hit, which you got
Oh
very
my
lucky
gosh.
on.
Yes.
And in its kind of confusion from the arrow in its neck and the strange tall man yelling at it, it just kind of it whiffs its attack and swings in its blind rage, and it's standing basically 5 feet in front of you now. Next up is Tarvok.
I'm going to use one of my spell slots for first level and cast Hunter's Mark
Okay.
on the ogre.
Beautiful. And why don't we get one of our resident ambassadors, because I have yet to call on him. Akosa Hex, would you please go ahead and explain what Hunter's Mark does for Tarvok? And his microphone.
There we go.
There it is.
Alright. Should come up. Oh, there it is. Hunter's Mark. You choose a creature you can see within range and mystically mark it as your quarry. Until the spell ends, you deal an extra 1d6 damage to the target whenever you hit it with a weapon attack. And you have advantage on any wisdom or you have any advantage on any perception or survival check you make to find it. If the target drops to 0 hit points before the spell ends, you can use a bonus action on a subsequent turn to mark a new creature. with the same spell.
Beautiful.
Not
Very
bad,
handy.
right?
All right. Thank you, Ikosa Hex. Much appreciated.
No problem.
All right. So you cast your Hunter's Mark, which I believe takes up a full action. And are you going to move at all?
I'm going to fall back 10 feet, but just moving backwards,
Okay.
pointing at the ogre, going, "Yeah."
I love it.
I can imagine the extremely short stalker door. Yeah, you step.
Wonderful. All right. So I believe that leaves you about, 70 feet from the ogre now? If I'm correct. You didn't close any gap there at all beforehand.
No, and
You-
I was behind them 15 feet regardless.
Okay. So we'll
So-
say you're about 70 feet back now if you kind of backed away a little bit.
Okay.
And your ogre is marked. Next up, it is the goblins, and they're all gonna kind of converge on this ogre all at once. You just see them kind of smacking and stabbing and going at this thing. And let me just do a mass attack roll here. There we go. They do actually, the pile of goblins, I'm going to say about half of them successfully hit. There we go. This is
4 rolls of damage.
Yeah.
Well, there's always the roll 20.
They actually do 13 points of damage to this
Nice.
ogre. But considering they're all piling up on it, he's going to take a big opportunity attack against them. There we go. Sorry, I'm doing math in my head as we go here too. So the ogre's going to take an opportunity attack, and he's going to just do a big wide sweep with his great club. I had to flub that one because it actually fell against my book and balanced on edge. And he rolls a 15 against the goblins, and that is going to hit. Oh my god. Okay. And he does 2d8 plus 4 damage.
Ow.
All right.
They're all dead. We
You wanted
tried.
some more
At least
goblin guacamole, right?
So I'm
Yes.
gonna do this individually to see if there's any that survive.
I can spare the dying as many times as I want. So as long as they're not dead, I can bring most of them back.
True. He ends up. Holy shit! This is a lot of rolls. I'm almost done here. He ends up taking out, in a massive sweep, 6 of these goblins.
Oh shit.
The 2 that remain is one that you've never seen before. He doesn't really stand out in particular. And then the one that you initially talked to, Tim, with the big hooked nose. They get thrown back a little bit, with a little bit of damage taken. But the remaining ones actually basically just splatter as soon as this thing hits them. Not splatter, sorry. They hold together, but you hear a very sickening crunch, and they turn into sacks of meat, basically.
Are they savable? Or are they just...
You can always, yeah, I would say you could probably stabilize them. But for all intents and purposes, if they are not tended to soon, they're probably just going to be beyond repair.
Great. We're going to need to hurry this up.
Yeah. Now, Goblins 1 and 2, Hooknose and Mr. Unoriginal, they are looking pretty wounded right now, though.
All right.
And next up is Tim.
Well, I've only got one choice. Firebolt him.
Oh gosh.
Okay, Fireball. Let's roll to hit. What's the range on Fireball, actually, if you don't mind me asking?
It fell.
I think it's 60 feet.
120 feet.
120 feet. Okay, there we go.
12.
16 plus scroll.
You hit.
Oh, right.
With your left hand in your pocket and your right hand outstretched, You just fling a fireball in the direction of this ogre. Where were you aiming for him?
I was aiming right at his face.
Okay.
Yes.
You're really good at firing faces.
That's my primary target now.
All right. What's the word that you say when you cast your fireball, by the way? I'm curious.
Ignite.
Sure. Can you say it in Tim fashion?
Oh, now you gotta make me think.
I do.
It's just a casual whisper. Ignite.
Nice. All right. So your fireball strikes true on the face of this ogre. Roll me damage, please.
Looking for the 10. Pretty sure. Nope. Stand by.
It's
Where the heck did it go?
it's this one. Look.
Weird. Got it.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The cat didn't take it.
Good.
Oh. Oh, okay. That's not bad. That's a 9 plus 3.
9 plus 3. All right. 12 damage. So your fireball just engulfs the head of this ogre. And it gets even more pissed off. Ogres don't like fire. It actually tells you that. It goes, "Oh, I don't like fire, little man."
Oh,
And,
God, it's
Turn on your hats,
aggro.
turn on your hats.
You're gonna need to run.
And you turn your hat on. And it just looks at you and it goes, "You're done." And it turns away from the pile of goblin bodies and starts facing you now. Bjorn, you are up next.
Oh no.
So it's facing.
Grip on the leg.
It's facing back the way you came from. Yeah.
Okay. So
Whack its
standing-
legs quick.
How fast can you run? I'm gonna go to the nearest goblin.
Boy.
I'm the healer,
Okay.
and I'm going to use Spare the Dying on the nearest one that I can.
Okay. You go up to the one that has half his ear missing. He's currently laying there, and you kind of hear just a faint breath coming from his body, just gurgling. There's like blackish, purplish blood kind of pouring out the corner of his mouth, and he kind of opens his eyes a little bit as he kind of hears you coming towards him. You're basically right next to all these bodies, and he just looks at you and kind of half expectantly and gurgles up.
So I'm gonna put my hands on his chest, and I say, "By the power of bring me back from the underworld," and I'm gonna heal him. And once that's all done, I'm gonna put the blue stripes on his hands, like I did with Tim.
Okay. So you do so, and you notice that his body, which is kind of oddly, it's not really much of a shape anymore. It kind of, you could tell if you pushed him, it would just kind of like shift around. All of his insides seem to almost solidify a little bit more and come together the way they should be in his tiny little frame. And you see his ribs are no longer kind of flopping around on the inside of him, and he just kind of looks at you for a second as you're painting this blue paint on him, and he kind of like lifts his hands up a little bit and just like touches you on the shoulder, and then just closes his eyes, and he's breathing faintly.
Aw.
He is
So
stable. All right.
So wait, I have 5 more to go.
So is that a bonus action, that one? Can we get Max? I don't know if you have it up already, but can you confirm? Is that a bonus action, that spell?
Says
Which spell was that? Sorry.
Spare the Dying.
Spare the Dying. It's a cantrip.
Yeah, I believe it's a cantrip.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if that takes an action. I don't remember cantrips very well.
Hang on one second.
Mhm.
I don't remember either.
Cantrips are basically just free spells, so they don't
I
take
don't
any
think
spell
it's an
slots.
It is an
Right.
action?
It's an action.
Okay.
It's-
A cantrip
full
is
action,
not
yeah.
always just a free. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't take up a spell slot, but it is an action.
Yeah. Sometimes it does specify if it's a bonus action, so I just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Max. I appreciate that. All right. So you have done your action. You still have 30 feet of movement. Would you like to move somewhere?
I'd like to move to the next one.
All right. So you are hovering over just another random goblin that you have yet to see. And next up, it is the ogre's turn, who is now sights focused with a smoldering head on Melendrach-Tim. I almost said that
I
wrong.
don't know if he's close enough to get to him. How
He's
close is
not
Tim
for
to
his
me?
club, but on his back he draws one of his multiple javelins that have been in a massive wicker quiver on his back.
Puncture holes.
Smoked.
And he's gonna aim for you, Tim. He pulls it out and he says, "You're done, little man," and he tosses it your way. What is your AC?
Not much.
I think it's less than 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh no.
All right, so he does hit. And you are lucky. He hits for a total of 6. His D6
leg
rolled
and
2
arm.
ones in a row. Sorry?
I lost a leg and arm and my stomach's blacked. I'm good.
Yeah, he rolled 2 ones in a row on his D6, but I had to add the +4, unfortunately. So, and this javelin, so he just kind of flings it your way nonchalantly. Well, not nonchalantly, but not with all of his force. He's quite confident in his aim, and it strikes you in the hip and just kind of tosses you backwards 5 feet, and it is basically stuck through the flesh of your hip right now, and you're sitting on your butt on the ground. Ow. The ogre is quite pleased with himself. He kind of wipes the soot, and the flesh kind of peels away from his face a little bit as he tries to wipe the soot away from his head. And he kind of looks over at Tarvok and says, "I can point too," and points at you. And it is now your turn, Tarvok.
Well, I just ready another arrow and let it fly.
Okay.
So 17.
That hits.
Yes.
Roll me some damage there.
Okay, so hold on. 8 and 3 is 11, and 6 is 17.
Holy shit.
Jeez,
Yeah.
where are you aiming for that?
Oh, I wanted to pop him right in his mouth.
Okay.
Yes.
Do it with me, will you?
Yes.
All right, so you as it's finishing its words saying "I can point too," you basically, like, right between its lips, this arrow just goes right in and hits him in the back of the throat, and he goes and like Cinderella reaching the ball, he is not. Sorry, that was really bad.
That was terrible. I don't think anybody.
Like Cinderella doing what now?
Don't worry about it. It was inappropriate, and I probably fell flat on many ears.
Oh no, I know the joke. We'll tell them later.
You successfully give a tonsillectomy to this ogre if he hadn't had one already when he was a youth, and you just see blood starting to just kind of drip from the corners of his own mouth, and he kind of staggers back a couple of steps and clutches at his throat. Next up is it's gonna be, and I'm gonna do it individually now since 2 are still in I guess moving order. Next up is Mr. Hooknose himself, and he is going to just run straight at this ogre and try and take it out at the legs. And he's gonna swing his tiny little sword.
Killing blow.
Yeah, this tiny little goblin. He swings his sword, and he rolls an 8 plus 4 with his little scimitar, and he hits. And he rolls a 1d6 plus 2. He does 5 damage to the ogre, and he basically Achilleses this ogre in the back of the leg as he runs by his leg and just goes whack. And the ogre kind of crunches down to one knee with this arrow stuck in his throat. He cannot talk anymore, clearly, and he is not looking very good at all. Next up is the other goblin, and Mr. Unoriginal Goblin, I'll call him still. And he's going to do the same thing on the other side. And oops, wrong dice. That's my 6. I want to roll my 20. And he's going to roll the hit. And he rolls a 17 plus 4.
Yes.
That is definitely going to hit. He's going to roll some damage. Damn! And he gets max damage for 8 damage. And as he runs by, he actually, the ogre on one knee, he actually jumps off of the ogre's knee, leaps up beside its neck, and in midair slashes across the ogre's neck, severing a main artery, spraying disgusting ogre blood all over whoever is within 10 feet. And yeah, basically he Assassin Creeds him. And this goblin, he doesn't, I don't know if he's going to stick the landing or not. Let me just roll a dex check on him.
I sure hope he does.
He sticks the landing and kind of does a little tumble and turns around and goes, "Shit, that was cool." As this ogre kind of like clutches its throat, like its mouth and its side of its neck, and blood just bubbles out the side of its fingers, and it just kind of slowly crumples down to the ground, gurgling away. And with its last raspy breath, its head hits the ground, and it is dead. Congratulations.
We did it.
And
we didn't die. Only Tim got murdered.
And I would like to leave it there for this week. We will find out more about these goblins next week, Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time. I want you all to take 400 experience for that encounter, please.
Oh, damn.
Good job, you guys. And I'd like to thank Icosa Hex for giving me that idea earlier today for an encounter. Thank you, sir. You are on camera. Give us a little wave. I asked my ambassadors to toss me a couple of extra encounters for these guys, and I still have another really good one up my sleeve. So hopefully we get to use that next time as well. We really appreciate you all, and we will have you guys join us next Tuesday, I hope, for episode 2 of Gold, Gods, and Goblins. Say goodbye, everybody.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Ah.
Thanks again for joining the Ret-Con-Artists in this week's episode. Just remember, if you guys want to catch it all live, you can go to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GoatGM, and you can catch all of the little jokes, nuances, and the technical difficulties that are cut out of the podcast and YouTube versions. And you can hang out with other people who love the Ret-Con-Artists and just talk about D&D and nerd stuff in general. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time.